Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Freedom's Pep Rally is in your face and on the air. Here it is. What day is today? It's Wednesday, the middle of the week day we call Wednesday. And I say that. I don't say the other word, the H day, because Mike Violette doesn't like it. And he's going to join me in just a moment. But first...
He came here because he has a lot to say, and all those other stations kept interrupting him with, of all things, songs. He can't sing well, but he can make a good case for freedom.
We're going to win. I think we're going to win in Virginia.
Because you see, what happens in Virginia will in large part determine what happens in 2022, 2024, and on.
It's John James on Legacy 1160, WSKW.
Well, there, you heard that. You heard Kamala say it. You heard Joe say it. It's all over. It's all over. Mike Violette.
Good morning.
How are you? How you feeling, buddy?
I'm good. Man, that was a great open, John. Very timely.
Well, you know what? I thought I was so happy to see Glenn Youngkin won.
Yeah.
And the heads exploded on MSNBC last night. I've got the audio later.
I will be tuned in. I did see some of Rachel and her breakdown, but it was a glorious night last night, was it not?
It was. Now we're still waiting for New Jersey.
Right.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. I mean, Virginia is a pleasant surprise. New Jersey would be a stunning surprise.
We'll just fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So, how are you recovering, Mike?
Oh, I'm fine. Here's the foot. It's good. Did you get a shot? Did you see that?
Not really. No, I just saw it just flew by. Oh, you're okay. So you got the ace bandage on it and all that.
Yeah. I'm good. I have no pain-free. I just can't drive.
And yeah, that's the thing.
That's why I'm not on the air, and I don't have the luxury here in my new digs of having a studio like you do.
Well, I guess you know what? I guess we're gonna have to take care of that, aren't we?
Somebody's gonna have to take care of that. But here's the deal. I have to go to a post-op appointment next middle of the weekday that we call Wednesday, and if I pass that, and I think I will, they'll put a boot on, and I'll be back on the air Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That would
I'm
be
going
great.
crazy here, John.
I know. I know you are. I know you are. I know what it's like to not be on the air, and especially when you get all this stuff going on, right?
No, it's been killing me here. You know, obviously I've been off since last Thursday.
Yeah.
But to not be on yesterday to preview it, not be on this morning to give my post-mortem. That's why I bugged you to come on.
No, that's great. I'm glad you did. I was going to reach out to you today and see how you were doing. And then when you said, let's talk about the election, I thought, well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. And I wanted to see how you were doing anyway, because I was wondering
I'm good.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. And I know how foot surgery is, and I know how they want you to how long did they tell you initially that you were going to be off your feet?
Well, initially they said 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, that's not bad.
The surgery was the 28th and the post-op appointment is the 10th. So that's 13 days or whatever. But to be honest with you, I don't have any pain. It doesn't hurt. I actually took the soft cast off and all of that yesterday and got a look at it, even though I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of it, sent it to my daughter, the registered nurse. She said it looked fine.
Good.
Feeling well. It doesn't hurt. So I suspect, I predict that the doctor will give me the go-ahead, give me a boot on Wednesday. I'll be able to drive and be back at it on Thursday. Because not only am I missing all of this political fun, we're in the thick of high school sports and playoff field hockey and football, and it doesn't make me any happier to miss that either. So,
yeah, but you got to do, but and especially in today's medical world where you've got to grab an opening when it comes up, because the elective surgeries are so few and far between, it seems, or they're so backed up.
You're right, and I had to. I had to wait for this for well over almost a year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
The stroke that I had, where they make
right.
you wait 9 months to have elective surgery, and then obviously with the king and his situation, you're not going to have this kind of surgery in the middle of all of that when you have to take care of dad. So, down the stretch, I had it scheduled for August 13th. Obviously, my dad was closing in on the end of the line at that point, so I couldn't have it. And one thing he told me, he said, "This is my father, always business. Michael, get that goddamn foot taken care of as soon as I'm gone." So,
Is that what he said?
As
soon as I'm gone. Oh my!
And so,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
but you've got it taken care of. So I'm sure he's
the old
looking
man,
down on you. Yeah, I'm sure he's looking down on you. He's very happy to see you. You did finally get it done.
I did.
So good for you.
For once, I did what the king said.
There you go. Do you have any visitors? People coming to see you?
Of course, I inherited the king's cat, Miss Keone.
Wow, yeah.
She's around here somewhere. She's usually like right here.
Yep.
I can't move without her. And I have people visiting.
Good.
It's all good.
Good. Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, it's great to see you this morning, Mike Violet. And
thank you.
Look forward to having you back on the air next week.
Yes.
And so the election, let's talk results.
Sure.
Nothing really surprised me.
No. Well, here in Maine, it didn't. I felt like yes on one. I felt like people would reject the corridor. The numbers may be a little higher than I thought they would be. Right now, I think it's 59-41. I figured it would be 55-45.
Yeah.
A resounding slap in the face to Central Maine Power Company. And, look, CMP has a lot going against it. And people don't like CMP right out of the gate. Why? We pay them money every month, even though they give us something. We pay them money every month. We all feel like we're paying too much. We all feel like the power goes out too much. Anyway, without even this corridor and all of the warts that it has, and then when you add the everything with the corridor, I think people felt like this company didn't deserve to be able to do this. They didn't earn the right to do this. They didn't earn the right to turn us into basically an extension cord between Quebec and Massachusetts, and doing so without getting paid.
Yeah. Well,
all of this was Adrienne Bennett. The rest of us didn't get paid. And
that's true. Yeah, you're right. She was on the payroll, wasn't she? It
was a bad deal.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I switched. I talked with Paul when he was in.
Yep.
I didn't talk with Adrienne. I heard Adrienne on your show. I talked with Jeff Hanley, representative from Pittston. And, they made a lot of good points as to why it would be better than not. I mean, the best case scenario, no windmills, no freaking view-destroying solar panels, and no corridor. But we have a governor she has bought the climate hoax, hook, line, and sinker. So we're going to have something. And the 411 on this was from Jeff Hanley and others, that this would, at the very least, give us 500 megawatts of power, however much or little that is. I really don't know. And it might keep us from getting some more, not all, but some solar panels and windmills to further destroy our scenery and our environment. Actually, I mean, these are environment destroying things that the environmentalists don't talk about. Give me nukes. Give me a couple of reactors in Maine.
Oh, I'm all for that. Let's fire Maine Yankee back up. But
right, yeah.
When you look at how this campaign went down, when it started out, CMP was all about trotting out Thorne Dickinson and others, talking about how we were going to save money on power, how we were going to get some green jobs out of this, and how it was going to be good for all of us. Then that narrative went away. Then they moved on to other things. They went on to retroactivity. They went on to giving politicians more power. When you don't even believe your own message, and you keep changing it in midstream, voters do realize that. Voters do notice that, and it was noticed. They didn't believe in their own cause because I don't think their cause was one to be believed in. So they tried different things to do, bringing Adrian on as a spokesperson and paying her a handsome sum for a couple of months' work that really didn't end up working at all. People don't like CMP, and they're not going to give you their permission to do what CMP wanted to do, which is to, in some way, rape the Maine woods, even though I don't think it was going to be that big a deal.
No, I don't
when
even.
it comes
That's the thing. Yeah.
comes to that. But the bottom line is when people don't like you, whether
Yeah.
you're an individual or an entity like CMP, they're going to vote against you. So, I put a post up on Facebook last night about the winners and losers when it comes to this particular question. Obviously, we the people won. We aren't going to have to hear the word retroactivity again for a while, which is fine by me. We aren't going to have to see the moving narrative, the changing narrative of CMP anymore. That's good. I think, LePage and Mills, they canceled each other out. They both supported this.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great opportunity for Governor LePage to have an issue to go at Janet Mills with. That is not the case, obviously.
Yeah, they were in agreement on that.
Yeah. Still, politics makes strange bedfellows, part 57. And Tom Saviello's a winner here because now he doesn't have to run for governor, because he said he'd run for governor if people supported the quarter. Adrian Bennett, I think, is a winner and a loser. She won because she got paid. And if you're going to give up your credibility, you better get paid for it, because I think she has, in a lot of ways, crippled her political career that I thought was promising after her run for Congress. I'm not so sure how promising it is now. So the payday hopefully pads that. But I'm not sure what her political future is at this point in time. It really, you have to balance out when you get paid like that and you decide to make a jump like she did from one side to another. You're going to hurt yourself. And I think she really hurt herself.
I don't even know what her political aspirations are at this point after the run for Congress. So hard telling.
Yeah,
really.
I don't know what they are, but I think they've definitely taken a beating here on particular issue. A lot of people that were supportive of Adrian when she ran for Congress were on the opposite sides of this issue, and I'm not sure they're going to be so willing to welcome her back. Arms here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I've always liked Adrian, and I would always support her. But you're right. I mean, you never know. And this whole thing with CMP, I think during this whole smart meter, when they were going to the smart meters, and all of these bills, just a bill would go from $40 to $2,000 in a month, and they seem to be very dismissive of the people who are complaining. And just pay your bill, we'll correct it later. No, you don't do that. I mean, that people remember that was just a horrible when relations campaign. And
that is part, John. That's part of the reason why they lost.
Absolutely.
Again, when CMP is considered the man, okay? They are considered the man.
Right.
And when the man performs as badly as that, time and time again, and then whether it's right or wrong, the power goes out all the time.
Yeah.
I think people are getting a little tired of that. They'd rather have CMP concentrate on the infrastructure of the existing power lines rather than adding on to the power lines that are there in order to light up lights in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
When you're just universally disliked from Kittery to Caribou, trying to do something like this, and the exorbitant amount of money that was thrown into this campaign.
Oh yeah,
it just boggles.
Yeah, very.
Mind. But you know what? Now we're going to see the beginning of lawsuits.
Yeah, it's going to go to court now.
This is going to be endless. And by the way, more thing about the quarter before we move on. I'm glad Rick Bennett was a winner. Seth Berry winners. They kind of shepherded this through the legislature and got legislative support. I'm very happy that they were able to do that. But please, can they stop this foolish talk about a publicly owned utility now? That's never going to happen. It's a stupid idea. Look, CMP sucks on a lot of different levels. But can you imagine, speaking of lawyers, can you imagine what it's going to take in order for a publicly owned utility to buy Central Maine Power Company out, and the legality of that? CMP doesn't want to be bought out. I'm not a lawyer, but come on now.
Right.
So
No, absolutely.
The Public Utilities Commission has got to take control here and make CMP toe the line. That's the only hope we have. That starts in the governor's office by putting people on the PUC who want to kick some ass and take some names.
Absolutely. I have faith in the PUC when they're doing their job. I know people, well, my daughter-in-law works there. Harry Lamphere, an old friend of mine, runs the joint, and they're great people. And I do think they have the best, the best for the Maine people in mind. But yeah, you're right. They've got to get the right people on there to make the right decisions. And, it's got to be politics aside. This is all about service and finances. A good service, a fair deal. And that's what they're there for, to make sure we get the power we need and whatever else we need for utilities at a fair price. And that's it. So do it.
It seems simple, but it seems very difficult at times for them to get through their heads.
Well, when they're talking to the CMP company, I think they've got a limited number of people over there who speak Spanish. But I may be wrong about that. I don't know.
Hey, you know who was a big winner last night, aside getting away from this issue, was Billy Bob Falkingham. He was the real mover and shaker behind the right to food question 3. And you got to give it up to Billy Bob. He was really passionate about this issue, along with Senator Craig Hickman, somebody that you and I are usually on opposite sides of the aisle against, John.
I know.
But, he talk about politics again, making strange bedfellows. Craig and Billy Bob were on the same side on this. And I had people literally calling me. Somebody called me the other day from Tennessee, a friend of mine, to ask me what the hell question 3 was, the right to food. And because most people think, well, geez, we have a right to food. I go to Hannaford, I go to Shaw's, I go to McDonald's and I eat. Well, it's not that. If you look at the narrative of people like the United States Humane Society and people like that, their narrative is basically down the line, as soon as possible, but down the line, to take livestock away from us, to take cows and chickens and all of that away from us. And this is what drove Billy Bob and Craig and others, probably Billy Bob more than Craig, to get this on the ballot. And a huge win last night. This won big. So tip of the hat to Billy Bob and others who were for this. I couldn't wait to vote yes on this once I finally had it explained to me, because, John, I'm a little numb, a little thick. And once they finally got it through to me, I was certainly ready to vote a resounding yes on this.
Yeah, you get a lot of people saying hi and good luck and get well, and you're spot on and everything there. I just want to mention that I'm not getting the comments up on the screen. So
good to hear from you.
Yeah, I heard Joe Biden at the climate summit with Lurch.
You mean the one he fell asleep at?
The one he fell asleep at. What else? Oh, he pooped his pants at the Pope visit.
He sharred himself.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He pulled an Al. Was it Al Roker? Was it Al Roker?
Did Al shard himself on TV too?
And at the White House.
I wasn't aware of that.
Al Roker he's the weatherman on Today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pooped his pants at the White House. There was a song about it. Yeah, you never heard the Al Roker pooped his pants? Oh,
no.
Well, if you're listening later on today, I'll try to find it. And I'll play it. It's awesome. Fantastic. It's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna text my doctor here. Tell him we're running a little late because I want to talk about these elections now. The other one was the bond issue. I figured that would pass. I voted for that, and I don't.
You voted yes. You voted yes.
Yeah, I voted yes because we need. I wanted to make sure. Well, no, I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to go to any Green New Deal crap into the roads and bridges. I live in the country, man, and the roads out here, they're not good.
They suck. I get that. But, John, listen to Uncle Mike here, okay? Listen very carefully.
Okay.
As I posted last night, for the 703rd time in my life, Maine voters have approved a bond issue what was it, $100 million to improve
100 million, yeah.
bridges.
Or 100,000, as they said on Channel 5 last night.
Whatever. And I have been alive on this planet for 61 years. I'm still waiting for the roads and the bridges to get improved. We vote yes on this every single year. Every single year, politicians come back and tell us, oh, we need to improve the roads and the bridges. Please vote yes. We vote yes. And nothing ever improves with the roads and bridges. So I predict this. Next year will be the 704th consecutive time that we vote yes on a roads and bridges bond. And for the 704th time, roads and bridges won't get improved.
Oh, I think I have faith.
Well, I don't know, John. I don't know why.
I think there's going to be a paved road right up Mount Katahdin next year. Yeah. I really believe that. They're going to pave a road right up Mount Katahdin.
Velvety roads, just like the Autobahn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go 150 miles an hour.
Right.
Absolutely. In my Nissan Titan.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to happen, John. I'm just going to clue you in. You voted yes on this, and Maine people always do. Well, when they go to the voting booth, apparently they hear birds chirping and a babbling brook in the background, and it makes them vote yes for this stuff. And yet it never gets fixed. Somehow the money goes somewhere, and nothing ever gets fixed.
Where does it go? That would be a good investigation for, News 13 or something, wouldn't it?
Get the I-team on this.
Yeah. See what they can figure out.
We know it doesn't go into roads and bridges because all we hear about from the DOT and everybody in Augusta is how the roads and bridges in this state suck. And if we don't invest in our infrastructure pretty soon, that's all we do is invest in our infrastructure every year with a bond issue, and nothing ever gets fixed.
Well, part of South Belfast Avenue got paved. It's like a racetrack right until and there's a line. So, and I don't know why they stopped where they did, but, you fly along nice, smooth, like the Indy 500, like racetrack, and you get to almost to Togus Pond, and boom, all of a sudden you're on a washboard. It's crazy. So maybe the bond issue will pave the other half. See, this is my hope, Mike.
I wouldn't make book on it. I know moving here to beautiful Lisbon, Maine, as I have now, I've been here for about 2 weeks. The roads here, Route 196, is a lot busier than I thought it was.
Yeah, it is busy.
It's pretty, and it's in pretty good shape. But seriously, we all know at least one road. Most of us know many in the state that needs to be fixed, whether it's a state route or otherwise. But I mean, it's a punchline now. When I go into the voting booth and see these bond issues, they're jokes to me. They're punchlines because this never gets fixed. And I've often talked about why Augusta, the legislature, can't put this money into a budget and budget this to get done rather than having to borrow. They never budget enough. They talk about how important infrastructure is, but they never budget for it.
Well, Mills spent all the extra money on windmills and solar panels. That's probably, they consider that. See, this is the caveat, and this is what we have to, this is why I read through as much of the bill as I could, because this is all considered infrastructure now, federally and in Maine. The windmills, the Green New Deal stuff, that's part of the infrastructure. No, it's not, nor should it be. But they're sneaking this in now as part of it.
Well, that is something that obviously the power of incumbency allows you to do a lot of different things. We need somebody who, look, Paul LePage has an opportunity here to come sweeping back in and save the day. It's a tall order. And to that end, I hope that Governor LePage and Brent Littlefield and Bruce Poliquin and others were keeping an eye on what the narrative was in Virginia last night, which is not cutting taxes and less government. All right, it's critical race theory. It's COVID overregulation. It's having control of your children's education. These are cultural issues. All right, I want my taxes cut too, and I want the income tax cut, and I want less government. But right now, we saw in Virginia what Glenn Youngkin did in Virginia, John, should be the playbook for the Republican Party in 2022, and it didn't involve Donald Trump. he won this without Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh, he did. He did. And McAuliffe used Donald Trump and lied about it and was caught. And CNN actually reported he lied about it, which was sort of a breath of fresh air. Got some great audio this morning. So that's coming up later on after 10 o'clock. So
let's hope that LePage and company were paying attention and that their narrative shifts, and the Maine GOP, which, by the way, continues to not get the job done. They had one job here this election season. That was win the seat that was given up in Augusta by
James Orr lost. I know.
And they couldn't do it. They held the seat. They had one job, nothing else to do except that. And they couldn't get the job done. And now we're stuck with Reagan LaRochelle in that seat.
James Orr was what a great guy. We had him on the other day. What a fantastic veteran. He loves America. He loves Maine. He's a family man. He fought in Iraq, and this is nobody cares.
It's disappointing.
Nobody even cares.
It's disappointing to have one more in the loss column, but again, the playbook is exactly as it was written for Republicans in the state of Virginia. You do that, the Republicans are going to win back a lot of seats.
And I hope LePage is all over the schools, the critical race theory, which schools naturally deny they're teaching. That critical race theory, the 1619 Project, gender studies, no, it doesn't belong in the school.
Pronouns, gender studies, no gender bathrooms. The Democrats and the libs all laugh at this stuff, but look at what happened last night. One of the reasons why Youngkin won is because of those issues, and Republicans need to get it and start running on them themselves, because when they do, they're right and they win.
Amen. I agree with you 100% on that, and hopefully we will. All eyes on New Jersey now. See what happens there. That could be another sign.
Fingers crossed, baby.
Fingers crossed. I'm out of time, Mike. But listen, I appreciate you, and thank you very much for coming on. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thanks for the cameo, John. I'll be back next Thursday.
All right, my friend. You have a great day. Be well.
Thank you, Johnny.
Bye, Mike. Mike Violette. Great guy, the Mike Violette Show. Miss him in the morning. Miss Agree to Disagree. Miss Ken Altshuler. Miss the whole thing. But he'll be back hopefully next week. He's doing well. He's got a cool little scooter he's riding around on there at his house. I'm kind of envious of that, to be honest with you. Yeah, he made some great points. Yeah, okay, so I voted yes on 2. What can I tell you? I believe the infrastructure. I believe, and maybe it's one of those insanity things. Do the same thing over and over again and think it'll change. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've got to change my way of thinking. We'll be right back. Dr. John Garofalo, straight ahead. If you have a question, please get it in right now. Just put it up on the feed on any one of the social media platforms, and we'll be right back.
Legacy 1160, WSKW, Legacy 1160.
If you love to shoot guns or just like to keep those skills up to par, you just need to put some rounds down range. At Economy Guns and Indoor Range at 81 Main Street, Madison, you can. No matter the weather, no matter the day. Beautiful, well-ventilated indoor range downstairs, a gun shop upstairs. One stop does it all. Forgot to bring targets? No worries. They've got those too. And when you go in, make sure you say hi to Rosie. Economy Guns and Indoor Range on Main Street, Madison. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5, Sunday, 10 to 2.
If you love to shop, whether it's for yourself or for others, you've got to visit Townline Antiques. With new items arriving nearly every day, you never know what treasure you may stumble upon. Whether it's vintage signs, sports memorabilia, jewelry, coins, books, comics, artwork, or classic electronics, you're always sure to find something that tickles your fancy. Plus, there's a lot of great furniture, glassware, and household goods. And their vintage Christmas booth is now fully stocked with many wonderful items. If you're looking for ornaments, lights, stockings, figurines, or any other holiday decor, you've got to stop by to shop this dazzling selection. You'll also find Santas galore with dolls, pictures, ceramics, and more. Or how about a classic Christmas toy, like a teddy bear or a truck? Townline Antiques is a great place to find that truly one-of-a-kind gift, or treat yourself to a trip through some wonderful memories with a present for yourself. Town Line Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5. Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassalboro Town Line.
Whoa. Sorry about that. That was my bad. I coming in backwards. We've got to get Dr. G on the air. I've got my buddy hold on, I got my buddy Justin here cleaning the boiler, and I wanted to say hi to him, and I didn't realize I didn't have that much time to do it. So here we are. I've got to call Dr. G now. We're going to get Dr. G on the phone. You have a question for a real live medical doctor. Now is the time to get it in, because he is going to be on as soon as I get his number dialed. And look at this. I'm multitasking here. I've got to admit, I am amazing when it comes to multitasking. Not really, but it sounded good, that's for sure. All right, let's see if we can do this without any more squealing going on. Dr. G, are you in the house?
Hello.
Hey, how are you? There we go.
What are you doing?
I'm just hanging out. How are you doing?
Oh, just lovely.
Are you really? Good. How's your week been?
Oh, excuse me. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. You got
no real major disasters. So
that's a good thing. Terrific. So what's going on? Anything you want to start the show out with, and then we can get to some questions. Can you hear me? Sounds like you've got the COVID.
Can't hear you, buddy.
So maybe you've got the COVID. It sounds like.
No.
Okay.
No, I've just got the postnasal drip.
Oh boy, I hate that. You know,
I think that drives you nuts.
I prescribe Flonase for you.
Yeah, okay.
All
I
right.
already use it.
All right. Okay, well, I don't know what to tell you then. So
I don't either.
What's going on? What do you have anything you want to start out with today?
Not really, except the good news about the kids' vaccines being approved. That's good news.
Well, I don't. You know what? I'm not too hip on that. I'm really not. I don't think it's a good idea. That's my opinion. There are a lot of doctors saying it's well, you know, kids with comorbidities, yes, but other kids, I've come to the conclusion it's not a good idea based on what I've read.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's hard to. I'm not saying it's a bad idea either. You know, it's like any other immunization. But the thing is that, you know, it's good news that it's available. What we do with it is not. I'm not making any comment about what we do with it. All I'm saying is I think it's good news that it's available. And you know, the numbers. You know, it can't. Can it do harm? Probably. The data would say no. Can it do good? Yes. And so we'll just see what happens. You know, it's just one of those things that's come along, and here we are. So, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have been going on the data I've been reading. I have been suggesting, based on what I've read, that, you know, kids with comorbidities, of course, I always like to leave it up to choice. That's always my go-to line. It's your choice with your children, what you do with your children. But based on what I've read, and I've got a bunch of doctors. One of them is actually, let me read you something. This is very interesting. I'm going to cover this in more detail later. Let me see if I can get it here real quick. In the COVID section of my program. All right, here is, it's Dr. Robert Malone. Does that name ring a bell?
Nope.
Okay, Dr. Robert Malone is the inventor of the messenger RNA technology in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. And
Okay, that Malone. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he says, quote, "There is absolutely no scientific or medical justification for vaccinating children, in my opinion." That's the guy that invented the messenger RNA. And he's just one of a bunch that I've got. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how things shake out here.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, so things are going. Oh, and by the way, things are going very well in Florida. Florida is doing very well now, as a matter of fact. And the people who were making fun of Ron DeSantis seem to be backing off a little bit.
However, there is good data that shows, just parenthetically, everybody talks about natural immunity. There's more and more data that shows that the immunity conferred by getting infected is less than the immunity conferred by getting immunized.
That's opposite of what I've been hearing.
No, it's not true, John. I don't know where you've been hearing that from, but if you look at the latest studies that have been out, in fact, the very last one, which came out of actually U.S. data, shows that your risk of getting reinfected. I'm not talking about getting your risk of getting reinfected. I'm not talking about your risk of dying or winding up hospitalized or anything like that. I'm just talking about your risk of getting reinfected is 5 times greater from natural immunity than it is from vaccination immunity.
All right.
Now,
okay.
That said, the only reason that's an issue is because it provides another place to have a reservoir of virus hanging around. If people with natural immunity can get reinfected more easily, just for those who are unprotected at all, it just leaves another place for virus to hang out and be waiting. Like the vulture sitting in the tree.
Okay.
One of the best posters I ever saw was 2 vultures sitting in a tree, and one of them turns to the other one and he says, "Patience, my derriere, I'm going to go kill something."
Okay. I'm sorry. I was looking up the. Let's see. I make the mistake of trying to look up data as I'm doing the show here,
Yeah.
and so I'm not going to bother with it right now. The Brownstone Institute lists 81 of the highest quality, complete, most robust scientific studies and evidence reports position statements on natural immunity as compared to COVID-19 vaccine-induced immunity. We shouted not to force COVID vaccines on anyone when the evidence shows that natural acquired immunity is equal to or more robust and superior than existing vaccines.
Based on what study? Is that based on the opinions of people, or is that based on a study that actually looked at infection rate?
I haven't gotten to
the study I quoted was based on looking at reinfection rate.
From what source?
I can't. I'd have to go look it up again, John. I don't remember right now, but it was a source. It was one of the sources that I trust. I can't remember what I found that on. Whether that came out of Medscape or whether that came out of.
Okay. I
think it was Medscape, and I don't remember who the researchers were, but it was from something I. It might have been National Institutes of Health, but I'm not. Don't hold me to that because I'm doing it out of my memory, not out of what I believe.
Okay, no,
not out of what I see right in front of me right now.
No, that's the same problem I have. I because I don't have all this stuff in my head, but. I've got to tell you, WHO, CDC, NIH, they, and I understand you dig more in the weeds, but you also got to understand they have purposefully, the CDC has purposefully misled us. They mislead us with the things they release. You have to dig in the weeds to find the truth. And I had a guess.
I don't take the CDC. When the CDC says we believe this based on blah blah blah, I always go look at the original studies. I don't go by just what the CDC says.
All right. Okay, that's good then. All right. Because the CDC.
I always go to the source material. Anybody. I don't care Fauci, Walensky. I don't care who it is. I don't care who says what. If they say it's based on such and such data, I always go and look up the original studies.
This is a
And
message.
see whether or not because there's two reasons to look up the original studies. Number one, I don't always trust that somebody interpreted the way that the study set really came out. And number two, I always look at the quality of the study.
All right. This is from, I remember a listener telling me this and posted this. Maine CDC agreed with me that my natural immunity after my second exposure was stronger than the vaccine.
I mean, second.
That's
infected a second time.
I did. I don't know. Did she get it the second time?
No, it's definitely true. I mean, the more times you get, I don't care whether it's, the more injections you get, or the more. But the other interesting thing is that natural immunity and vaccination immunity both seem to have a 6-month expiration. In terms of that's why they've recommended the boosters. That came out of that same study, so which is very interesting. Okay,
Casey had it twice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, certainly. The more times you get exposed to something, the better your immunity gets. But it's still, what they mean by this, that you need, that your immunity wanes in 6 months, just means that the clone of cells that's producing the antibodies that's protecting you goes quiescent, or goes quiet, I should say, at about 6 months, and so that does leave you with falling antibody levels, so that you could conceivably get reinfected.
After how long? So
after 6 months.
6 months, but you still have
natural or vaccination immunity.
But you still have antibodies after the 6 months, just not as strong, you're saying. Right?
Yeah, well, the cells that produce the antibodies are still there.
Okay.
The cells that produce the antibodies are still there, they're just not producing. And then so there's not circulating antibodies in your system. And so then when you get re-exposed and an infection starts up again, those cells will start producing antibody, but it leaves you the opportunity to get reinfected.
All right. I'm getting a bunch of comments here. If you want to go through this, I hadn't intended on staying on COVID. I mean, here we are. You know what's frustrating, Dr. G, is here we are 19 months after this thing, and we're still talking about this stupid disease. And it's a political hot potato. It really is. A bunch of friends of mine, there's a different Casey. A bunch of friends of mine had COVID last year. Of that same group, 3 of them got vaccinated. We all had continued to hang out. The 3 that got vaccinated all got COVID again, and we did not, yet we were in close contact. That's interesting. And I'm hearing...
Right. And you know why that's true? And I'll tell you why. Because those folks had been vaccinated, they weren't shedding enough virus to infect anybody else. The vaccinated people, although they were able to get reinfected, were not shedding enough virus to infect those who were around them.
Okay, yeah, but there was still more in the group that didn't.
What I just said was.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Who was vaccinated? They're not shedding enough virus.
Okay,
to infect someone who's unprotected.
I understand. I do understand that. But the people who get the vaccine, you may have some contradictory evidence on this, but the people who get the vaccine don't have any less a chance of getting the virus, the Delta variant.
They do. They have a 5 times less chance of getting. The people who have only natural immunity are 5 times more likely to be reinfected than someone who has immunity from the vaccine.
Okay, I've got to do some studies on this, because this is all different from what I've been reading from fairly reliable sources, very reliable sources, I would think, but I'll say fairly reliable, because you've obviously got something else. I don't know why what I see and what other doctors, it's like, what doctors do you listen to? So you've got all these doctors over here saying one thing and all these doctors over here saying another thing, and they're all good doctors, but they completely disagree on whether or not natural immunity is better than vaccine immunity, whether or not you can get the virus. Chances of getting the virus are as good if you're vaccinated than if you're not vaccinated. There is so much, divisiveness between doctors on this. Why is that?
The only thing I can say is, let's take the example of flu. Let's take the example of influenza. And people who have everybody who's ever had the flu, of course, has got some natural immunity to the flu. But just like that virus changes, COVID changes itself somewhat. It doesn't necessarily make it more deadly, but can it change its infectivity, so that it's it just seems that you have to always you always have to remember that natural immunity is good, but it's not perfect.
Okay.
And the other example that would be, how about people who get recurrent strep throats? Well, after they get one strep throat, they should be immune, yes? Well, perhaps, but for some reason, it doesn't confer perfect immunity in everybody. And so that, nothing is ever perfect. It just happens that the data seems to support that, although the immunization for COVID, of course, is not perfect, it is better than the natural immunity in this circumstance.
Okay.
Could have been the other way around. It could have come out the other way. It just depends. It depends. It just
okay.
That's the latest data seems to support that.
Okay. Here's something from the Lancet. Is that a good publication, the Lancet?
Sometimes, again, it would depend on reading the exact study. But go ahead. What article in the Lancet is it an opinion or is it an article?
No, it's a study. According to a study published in the Lancet, researchers came to the conclusion that those who have received a COVID-19 vaccine can still transmit the reported Delta variant within their own households just as easily as an unvaccinated person can.
Yeah, that's one study. And notice what the qualifier was there, within their own household. So they're in a closed situation within their own household. They're in a very closed situation and very close contact with people. And although they're not shedding as much virus as an unvaccinated person would, they're there. It's the cumulative effect. It's like the Chinese water torture thing. You keep dripping water. Eventually, you could fill the ocean with a drop of water at a time, right? This takes a long time. Well, make that a smaller receptacle like a shot glass, and it'll fill up pretty quick because it's a smaller space. Okay, so there's the modifier on that. That was a very specific circumstance in their own household.
Okay, the study found is one more. This probably won't change anything, but I want to read the next paragraph. This study found that the vaccinated had identical viral loads as that of the unvaccinated. Furthermore, a quarter of vaccinated individuals still contracted COVID-19, and 38% of those were 38% of those who were unvaccinated contracted the virus. So, marginally more who were unvaccinated contracted the virus. A quarter of vaccinated individuals, 38% of those who were unvaccinated. So, yeah, okay, I get that. It does help somewhat. Right. I think. Okay, here's the bottom line, Dr. G, for me. I think the push to get everybody vaccinated by the government and not allow for anything else to be considered. And now they keep adding more and more. They keep compounding these edicts. Now it's going to be, you may need a passport for flying. You may need a passport in certain areas of the country to do anything other than shop for groceries. I don't like the slippery slope this is going down. I would rather, honest to God, I would rather die free I would rather die free of COVID-19 than be threatened by the government with my freedom if I didn't choose to get vaccinated. Now, you and I both know I am vaccinated, but I stand strong that it doesn't matter. It's still a matter of choice. Everybody who wants to get vaccinated at this point has been, and now we're seeing hospitals and other businesses suffer because of people who are standing their ground. We're losing EMTs, we're losing nurses, we're losing support staff. We've now got, I want to put something up on the screen here. And I'll tell you what I'm putting. I want to show people this because this blew me away when I saw this. All right, this is covering up my face now on the screen, which isn't a bad thing. Let me get this caption off the screen. I'm sorry. Bear with me for just a second, if you will. Okay, so Maine General, they've got a bunch of help wanted ads on travel nursing sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want to be a travel nurse in Augusta, Maine, you want to come to Augusta, Maine, travel from someplace, you've been vaccinated because you got to be vaccinated to work in Maine. You can make a weekly pay, gross weekly pay of $6,007 for 36 hours. So how is Maine General going to be able to sustain that kind of a wage to replace all the nurses? They've reportedly lost or will be losing like 200 nurses. How are they going to be able to sustain that kind of pay to keep the hospital running? And this is not the only case of this, obviously.
Well, wait a minute. The other day in the paper, they said they were losing, I can't remember how many employees it was, and it was split 50-50 between clinical and non-clinical.
Okay, all right.
I don't think that 200 nurse number is right.
Okay, say about 100 then, if it's clinical and non-clinical. It was 191, I think, was the number. People that are losing.
Yeah, that's correct, and it was split pretty much evenly between nurses and but don't forget that's not necessarily 100 nurses. It's 100. The clinical staff includes things like phlebotomists,
right? Okay,
and all that kind of stuff too. It doesn't mean they're losing 100 nurses,
right? But still, I mean that staff you've got to replace, and if you're replacing them with travel people, and you're talking $6,000 a week for one person, I mean
they've been doing that for years,
right? But
they've been having to do that for years. There's been a nursing shortage. There's been a doctor shortage.
Right.
This is not all that new under the sun.
But it's compounded now. I mean, this is unnecessary. What they did is unnecessary. They compounded. They've added to it by forcing.
Okay, let me throw you one other statistic. Since the pandemic began, and because of the way people viewed how people in healthcare, et cetera, have been responding to try to help their fellow man, we have seen there has been a sharp increase in both applications to nursing school and to medical school, which should start to help relieve some of the problem we've been having right along. We were at least in Maine we were some 15% to 20% short of what we really need to be fully doctored. And we had at least a 10% nursing shortage, if not greater than that. Now, these numbers that I just cited are pretty old. I haven't looked at those in a while.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Before that's pre-pandemic.
Right. So I can't imagine what it is now. And we're at least, Janet Mills introduced this idea to get more people going to the, medical schools, to the community colleges for nursing degrees or whatever. And we're at least 2 years out from nurses with that, unless they start graduating people early. And then the whole medical profession is going to be in question. If you start graduating people early so they can come in and do work that they aren't quite ready to do,
you can't. Yeah, some of the education. Well, it depends. Are you talking 2-year, 4-year nursing degrees? Most programs are 4-year. Most programs are 4-year nursing degrees. Now you graduate with a bachelor's degree, as opposed to an associate's degree to be able to get an RN. So there's some ways. There's some way you can probably shorten that to 3 years. But you're not going to be able to shorten it much more than that.
Yeah, two years for the associates.
It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt things that much.
Yeah. All right. Well, time will tell. I don't know. And I'm sorry we took the whole half hour with COVID here, but every week we get a lot of things coming up on the feed. I mean, that's what people are talking about. So
yeah. Well, it's still a hot topic.
It is.
We still have a pretty high infection rate in the state.
Yep. But I'm always going to come down on the side of freedom. I mean, for the greater good was okay for a little while, but we're over it. I'm completely over it, and that's where you and I are going to have to disagree because, people that don't want to get vaccinated don't. It's up to you. Don't. If you don't want to, don't do it. If you do want to, don't do it. No judgment.
Okay. The only thing I would say is let's take the example of your friends that you said.
No.
Let's take the example of your friends, your group of friends, those who were not vaccinated,
yep.
and then they had their vaccinated friends, and their vaccinated friends would become infected, but they wouldn't infect their unvaccinated friends, would they?
Right.
And so yeah, you could choose not to protect yourself, but aren't you making an awful choice not to protect someone else?
No, I'm not, because no, because they've got a choice to get the vaccine if they want to protect themselves. If they don't want to protect themselves, then they're not afraid of me if I'm unvaccinated. Or if I'm vaccinated, they aren't afraid of me. So that's up to them.
All right, then I would suggest this: find a nurse that works in an ICU around here, and talk to them and see what people who are unvaccinated, who wind up with COVID and wind up in the ICU, facing a ventilator and even maybe facing the ultimate. See what they're saying about what they think now that they didn't get themselves vaccinated.
We have talked to several, and one of them was the one I think I told you about up in Presque Isle, who lost her job because she had COVID and she didn't want to be vaccinated.
I'm not talking about jobs, Sean.
No. I know. She worked in the ICU, and she said that it's just protocol to put the COVID patients in the ICU, and there was nobody that sick in there. And a lot of there's a lot of hidden agenda here, Dr. G. There's a lot of hidden agenda.
41 people on ventilators with COVID.
Prove it was because of COVID, though. Prove it was because of COVID. I don't believe that. I believe the government I believe the government is screwing with us. I really do. And
I don't think the hospitals. Number one, the hospitals aren't the government.
The hospitals are reportedly making more money if they have COVID patients. This has been corroborated. This has been corroborated. The hospitals are making more money. They get paid if they have COVID positive patients.
Well, okay. The diagnosis, because the care of a COVID patient, it's all based on relative value units, John, and the care that's required for a COVID patient is much greater than the care that's required for, say, someone with a pneumonia or an appendicitis in terms of intensity. And yes, they will be paid more to take care of that patient who's going to require more intensive services. It doesn't.
I think okay, here's where we're gonna have to end it. Here's what I think. You probably aren't going to agree with it. If you have comorbidities, I personally would suggest you get the vaccine. If you have comorbidities, get the vaccine. Or if you're older, get the vaccine. I would suggest that. That would be my suggestion to you. If you are younger, you're healthy, I would say it's entirely up to you. I would not tell you not to, but I would not recommend you get the vaccine if you are younger and you're healthy and you don't have comorbidities. COVID ran through my family. I don't know how it didn't hit me because I have a nurse in my family, but COVID went through my family. None of them were vaccinated at the time. And it sucked. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It really was bad. It didn't feel good, but nobody was really that sick. Nobody was hospitalized. They just, had to rest. They were very tired and lost their sense of smell for a couple of weeks, but, they were no worse for the wear. So, I mean, and we know there are some effects, some adverse effects with the vaccine, and we can get into the numbers and all that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because it's just a fact. There can be some pretty bad side effects, especially when you're talking about younger people who are healthy. Giving them the vaccine, the risk seems to outweigh the benefit. The risk is not worth, or the reward, it's not worth the risk for the reward, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, okay. And then I guess my side of the opinion would be that the only vaccine that there's some question about whether the risks are greater than the benefits is the J&J. It's certainly the benefits are far outweigh the risks with either Pfizer or Moderna. And my other side of the statement would be, yes, you can choose to protect yourself, but in this circumstance, we want to get rid of this virus. We want to get it out of the population. And the only way to eliminate reservoirs is to immunize as many people as possible. And so, yeah, you can choose for yourself, but also think about, am I choosing for someone else? And that's all I would say about it.
Okay. All right. That's the way. So we've both expressed the way we feel to end the show. I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I appreciate your time, Dr. G.
It's always a pleasure. Hopefully next week we'll get to some questions.
I hope so. I really, really, really hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully things will have.
Yeah,
hopefully things will have started to turn again. Hopefully.
I hope so. I've got a pile of questions in the bank, and
yeah, we got to get to them.
Yeah, we do. So hopefully we'll do that, and we'll make it a point to next week because
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, okay, Dr. G.
If you start to talk about COVID, I'll tell you to shut up, and you can tell me the same thing.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's fair. I kind of like that. That's good.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it's very fair. And by the way, I got your address. I looked at my text this morning. You sent your address. I apologize. I apparently missed it, so I do have it now.
Okay, good.
All right. So thank you for that.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Well, as always, be careful out there and be respectful.
All right, buddy. You have a great week, Dr. G.
You too. Take care.
Bye now.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Dr. John Garofalo, retired PCP and ER doc, my friend, and we disagree on a lot of the COVID stuff. He is a medical doctor. I am not. I only play one on the radio. I try to do my research. Of course, he's been doing it. You got to understand now, he's been doing research for 50 years or more on this medical stuff. So, and I'm a rank amateur. So I understand. I certainly respect his opinion, and we have different opinions, and that's good. I mean, that's the way we have conversations. So thank you again to Dr. G for being here every week, and thank you to everybody who weighed in and is listening. We've got a lot more to get to. The elections, we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up on Legacy 1160. I'm John James, and this is Freedom's Pep Rally.
Get your running shoes ready for a great cause. Coming up on Saturday, November 6th, starting at 8 a.m., you're invited to participate in this year's race along the scenic Kennebec Rail Trail. Whether you're a walker or a runner, you can help make a difference, get some fresh air, and have fun at the same time. Following the event, there will be an award ceremony at Bateau Brewing in Gardner with great prizes like $100 for the top male and female and other prizes awarded for various classes. There will also be a virtual 5K and walk for those who choose not to attend the event live on Saturday, November 6th. Either way, you can help, and all proceeds remain here in Maine, helping high-risk patients get access to early lung cancer screening, and will help low-income homeowners get access to radon air abatement systems. For more information, contact Deb Violette at 207-215-9035 or sign up and register today at freemefromlungcancer.org.
A fair price on a used vehicle from a dealer who's exceptional and moral. That's exactly what you'll get at Shelley's Used Cars LLC in Fairfield. Shelley and Anthony Rudnicki are straight shooters, and they'll always do what's right by their friends and neighbors. And if you don't know them personally, you're just a friend they haven't met. And if you're looking for a good used vehicle, you might consider stopping by and saying hi. You can pay weekly with reasonable payments, and of course, they always take cash. Since 2013, Shelley's Used Cars, Norridge Walk Road, Fairfield. Like them on Facebook. Caring Hands Home Care LLC has immediate openings statewide. Personal support specialists assist our clients in their homes with their activities of daily life, like assistance with personal care, meal prep, and light housekeeping. Candidates need reliable transportation, a valid driver's license, and current vehicle insurance. Caring Hands prefers PSS with certification and experience. However, we provide training for new hires through orientation, job shadowing, and the PSS course. Call 742-0002 or go to caringhandsme.com.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160. Legacy 1160, WSKW.
Hi, this is Teresa Smith, Assistant Dean of Enrollment at Kennebec Valley Community College. After nearly 30 years at the college, rarely a day goes by that I don't run into someone who tells me they graduated from KVCC or that their son, daughter, wife, or cousin went to KVCC. What a privilege it is for me to work somewhere that has such a positive impact. KVCC offers the training people need to enter high-demand, high-paying jobs while keeping the cost of education low. Whether you want to earn a degree or just need short-term training to learn a new skill, KVCC's got you covered. Our spring semester starts on January 10th, and I would really love it if you were the next person to say to me, hey, don't you work at KVCC? Please check us out online at kvcc.me.edu or call 453-5822. That's 453-KVCC.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
ABC News, I'm Ike Giacchi. Election day is done, but the counting continues in New Jersey, where it's still too early to project a winner in the governor's race between incumbent Phil Murphy, a Democrat, and his challenger Republican Jack Ciattarelli. ABC's Janae Norman.
Registered Democrats here in New Jersey outnumber registered Republicans by more than 1 million. And voter turnout, we know, looks to be low, especially compared with Virginia. Murphy, who campaigned on a progressive platform, is fighting to become the first Democratic governor to win re-election in this state in more than 4 decades.
Republican Glenn Youngkin beat Terry McAuliffe in the Virginia governor's race. ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Carl.
The Democrats tried relentlessly to tie both of these candidates to Donald Trump, and this strategy failed miserably. It failed in Virginia. And again, the fact that New Jersey, and we don't know the results here, Murphy may still pull it out, but the fact that that state is so close is really something that nobody anticipated.
This is ABC News. More testimony today in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, the young man facing homicide charges in the shooting deaths of 2 protesters last year. They were shot during a demonstration over the police shooting of a black man. Rittenhouse faces life in prison if convicted. The work and protests continue at the UN Climate Conference, even after world leaders left. ABC's Tom Rivers is at the foreign desk.
Young climate activists have been assessing what impact, if any, the world leaders have had. A few, including Elizabeth Wathuthi from Kenya, held talks with the UN Secretary General. Her message?
Of course, we will not stop until things begin to happen. And I think if the leaders continue to fail us, we'll make change happen all by ourselves.
In her view, the gap between what needs to be done and what is being done right now keeps widening every day. She's urging people to recognize the injustices of the climate emergency and to act to support those most vulnerable to its impact. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
Ike Giacchi, ABC News.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So your headlights are getting dim? With the seasons changing, now's a great time to change them. Upgrading your headlights can ensure you'll be safe and ready to handle darkness and fog. Oh, and we recommend replacing in pairs. That way you won't have uneven lighting over time. You can get all of your lighting needs fast with our next day delivery and free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easy. AutoZone. Restrictions and details at AutoZone.com.
You know how when you order a new video game or a golf club or a blender, and then it arrives at your door and you get that little thrill? Imagine how much more thrilling it is when you order a new car. With Nissan at home, you can shop for the perfect ride and order it without ever going anywhere. Sure beats a golf club or a blender. Buy a new car entirely online with Nissan at home delivered direct from dealer to driveway. Thrill starts here. Services may vary at participating dealers, subject to applicable law. See dealer for details.
He came here because he has a lot to say, and all those other stations kept interrupting him with, of all things, songs. He can't sing well, but he can make a good case for freedom.
We're going to win. I think we're going to win in Virginia.
Because you see, what happens in Virginia will in large part determine what happens in 2022, 2024, and on.
Yep. It's John James on Legacy 1160.
There you go, Kamala.
WSKW.
There you go, Kamala. That's right. You will determine it.
You will determine what happens in 2022 and 2024 and on. I'm Kamala Harris.
All right, Kami. All right, cackling Kami. Nasally nincompoop. Good for you. Okay, so this is what happened. I've got to tell you, I'm awfully disappointed that our friend James Orr did not win the election last night. You know, a conservative guy, a family man, a veteran who's actually fought for the thing that we have here in America, freedom. I mean, who would want somebody like that representing us when you could have a person who's been in the trenches like Reagan LaRochelle? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know Reagan LaRochelle. I don't know what she stands for. So I'm not going to pass judgment on her. I'm just not going to. I'm not going to go there. That wouldn't be fair. So I will learn more now that she is a winner. She won the race. I will certainly look into her, find out a little bit more about her. Also, 1, 2, and 3 questions. 1, 2, and 3. Casey says they should demand a hand count. I don't trust the machines anymore. Neither do I. If you trust the machines, you must be a Democrat. So that's where we are. 1, 2, and 3 were all yes votes. Reagan LaRochelle won the race last night. And there will be court battles coming up on the CMP question, the corridor question. You know, I went to the polls yesterday. I posted on Facebook yesterday. I changed my enrollment. You know, I've been telling you now for 3 years. Or 2 years. How long has it been? I think it's 2 years maybe. That I was an independent / libertarian, but I was a registered Republican, so I could vote in the primary for Paul LePage when he first ran. Well, yesterday I unenrolled as a Republican, and I put down my party affiliation as libertarian. That doesn't make me any less conservative. It just means, you know, I always say about these Democrats who have literally followed the progressives off the proverbial cliff. I always say, why don't you take a page out of Leo Terrell or Vernon Jones' book? And when the party starts leaving you, just leave the party. Yet I stayed in the Republican Party because either I was lazy, was most of it, never thought of it. Yesterday, I thought of it. And there, while there are some great Republican conservatives who I respect, I named one yesterday, Shelley Rudnicki. There are others in Maine. There are a bunch of feckless Republicans who I do not respect. There are more feckless Republicans in Washington who I don't respect, who do not stand up to the Democrats. You don't hear from them. You hear from people like Kevin McCarthy and Matt. No, don't tell me about Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz. Well, they are good. By and large, I don't always agree with them, but by and large, if they dare to speak up against the status quo, then they've got my respect. They have got my respect. Even if they don't always do it, they do it. The Democrats, there are tons of Democrats who do it. The entire squad does it. The entire squad will stand up and they will screech in their irritating voices from their soapbox all day long. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, Ariana, the one from Massachusetts, Ayanna Presley, Cori Bush. They're all screeching loudmouth losers. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. They will talk all day long. They will push for their agenda all day long. Maxine Waters, handful of Republicans, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Kevin McCarthy, Elise Stefanik, Marjorie Taylor Greene, nobody from Maine. You never hear, we're in Maine. And you never hear from Susan Collins, Shelley Pingree, Angus King, Jared Golden. Very seldom do you hear from them in Maine, let alone on the stage in Washington, because they don't stand up for anything. Shelley Pingree, I'm convinced, is a communist anyway. So that's why I unenrolled as a Republican. And I know there are some good Republican organizations who I will gladly support in this state. I think John DeVoe runs one up in Aroostook County. I'll gladly stand with them any day of the week because they're out fighting. They're out working. They're using their outdoor voices to make change. You've got these people in Augusta. Charlotte Warren should have been censured at the very least. At the very least. And you had this, you have people like Dillingham, the Republican. Oh, but she's got a right to say whatever she wants. It's free speech. Not when you're representing an entire state and your decisions matter. If a representative who is in charge, the House chair of the law enforcement committee, stands up and says that straight white men should not be in politics, that's problematic. And if you don't stand up to that as a Republican, sorry, get the hell out of the way. Get the, grow some skin, grow one. I don't know I have no idea what that meant. Or just get out of the way, okay? Just leave. You're useless. You're useless for what you were elected to do. Oh, and most of the people are from southern Maine coast. Oh, they've got to appease everybody. We know how liberal their districts are. I hate politics. I will not run for politics. I will not run. I know, I understand. If you're going to run for politics, political office, like a state office, then you need the party affiliation. You need to be a Republican or a Democrat. I get that because that's where you get the support, the funding, the really cool signs and stuff. So I understand that. But I'm not running for anything. What do I care? I just don't want to be aligned with a party that is not representing my best interests in Washington or in Maine. And again, I say that with caveats. We have great people in there. Billy Bob Falkingham. We've got Shelley Rudnicki. I could name a whole bunch. Scott Searway. I could name a ton. but I could name just as many who should just get out of the way because they are of no use at all. Why they are in there, I don't know. Just for the status, who knows? Perks, are there perks they're in there for? We don't know. They just want to be famous for something? I don't know. It's 10:21 now on Legacy 1160 WSKW. So let's talk about what's going on with some of the other elections. We know what Joe Biden said. Oh, we're going to win. We're going to win Virginia. And Kamala Harris, what happens in Virginia? Will show us what will happen in 2022, 2024, and beyond. I hope so. I hope it does. Van Jones is calling out the Democrats and their lack of success, especially after Virginia, right? Van Jones is the guy, arguably, he's a communist. He said he was a communist once, or said he embraced communism. I don't know if he still does or not. I don't follow Van Jones usually. And I'm not a big fan of him or his politics. He's a liberal political pundit on CNN, but I'll tell you something about Van Jones. He's objective. On The View, do you remember this? On The View, he was completely taken apart and excoriated by leftist communist Ana Navarro because Van Jones, the black Democrat political pundit for CNN, said on The View that Donald Trump did some good things for the black community in 4 years that Obama didn't do in 8. Now, when was the last time you heard somebody on the left speak truth? That was truth. Ana Navarro couldn't tolerate that. Neither could Joey Behar. They couldn't tolerate it. So yesterday on CNN, Van Jones made an admission about Democrats that's sure to trigger some of the more progressive members of the party. This is what Van Jones said. Hold on a second. I've got to make sure I've got the right cut here. Okay, here you go ahead. Here's Van Jones. This is yesterday on CNN.
I think that the Democrats are coming across in ways that we don't recognize, that are annoying and offensive and seem out of touch in ways that I don't think show up in our feeds when we're looking at our kind of echo chamber.
There you go. Van Jones, you think that's going to make Democrats happy? He said that. But again, truth. The truth will set you free. Do I like Van Jones? Will I support? No. No, of course not. Do I respect Van Jones? That's another question. Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. Because he says what's true. And I don't care what party, what side of the fence you're on. I don't care how left, how right you are, you say the truth. You got my respect. May not like you, but you got my respect. It's 10:25 on Legacy 1160 WSKW, one of America's most left-wing cities, where the defund the police movement began, voted yesterday. You know what one I'm talking about, don't you? Minneapolis, right? They voted to keep their police department. Oh, no. That's not what Ilhan Omar wanted. You remember, right? Ilhan Omar didn't want that because she thinks the police are a cancer and should be dismantled so something beautiful can rise. Let me see. I think we've got her saying that here.
I will never co-sign on funding a police department that continues to brutalize us. And I will never stop saying, not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
There are the sheep.
The Minneapolis Police Department is rotten. To the root.
Rotten.
And so when we dismantle it, we get rid of that cancer and we allow for something beautiful to rise.
To rise? Good morning. Good morning from Maine, Judy. Howdy from Florida. Yeah, most Republicans no longer have a spine. They no longer serve us. Tina says, yep. That's absolutely true. It's 10:27. So anyway, Minneapolis, 57% of 150,000 voters said no to eliminating the police department. Only 157,000 people voted in Minneapolis. That's pathetic. Isn't it? That's pathetic. Here we are in a country, a democratic republic with a right to choose your own leaders, to choose your own agenda, to choose how your government works or doesn't work for you. And I don't know how many people are in Minneapolis, but 150,000 people, that's all that could pull themselves out to vote, with mail-in voting. 150,000 people. Anyway, 57% said, yeah, we want to keep the police department, meaning over 40% apparently said, no, let's get rid of the police. That's smart. There, you got some bright ones there in Minneapolis. That's obvious. It should have been like, there's always got to be some idiots voting against the obvious. But you would think when it comes to policing, it would be more like 99% voted to keep the police and 1% voted to dismantle them. But no, 57% voted to keep them. So who are the other 43% of the idiots out there that said, oh, I think getting rid of the police would be a good idea? I wonder if these people, are they human? Are they human beings with a critical think? Do they have? No, they don't have critical thinking. But it just makes me shake my head. Three of the state's leading Democrats, Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, and Tim Walz, the governor, opposed the vague bailout question that could have replaced the Minneapolis police with a new public safety agency. However, they did not campaign to defeat the measure because they are, after all, solidarity, baby. This is where the Democrats' stronghold is. They were against getting rid of the police department. They didn't campaign for it, though, because they have to show solidarity with the party. Very few who dare to step outside that lockstep march. I can only name two of them right off the top of my head when it comes to the Congress, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Those are the only two I can name who dare get out of lockstep. And you see what's happening to them. Cori Bush is calling Joe Manchin a racist, you name it. I mean, she's calling him a murderer, a racist. Cori Bush, the squad member, oh, she's a piece of work. Kyrsten Sinema, they're following her into bathroom stalls with phones, video phones. Because that's what happens when you're a lefty and you veer out of lockstep. You are attacked. Figuratively and literally. So Klobuchar and Smith and Governor Tim Walz, they were against getting rid of the police, but they really didn't say too much about it because they didn't want people to be pissed off at them. They didn't want anybody on the left to cancel them. Scary thing, you know. I don't care if I get cancel me. Go ahead, cancel me. The two most prominent anti-police radicals in Minneapolis failed. That would be State Attorney General Keith Ellison, who is a moron, and U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar. Moron would be too good a word for her. So it's good to see them fail. And speaking of Minneapolis, Joe Biden, virtue signaling, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, Joe Biden, is hosting George Floyd's family at the White House on the first anniversary of his death. You know about George Floyd, right? You know he's abused when he held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. He is a drug addict. He was a thief. He's a criminal, basically. But he has become the symbol for the leftists, to push their police hate black people narrative, which is a what? What is it?
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Of course it's a lie. A lie that everybody on the left believes because they don't research, they don't look, they don't know numbers, they don't know much of anything. They just know narratives given to them by the mainstream media and by those who are charged with serving them. The virtue signaler in chief, the feckless, demented piece of crap who the mainstream media says won the election, Joe Biden, really doesn't care about black people. But it looks good on the resume. Leo Terrell had something to say about that. Here's Leo 2.0.
We're racially divided. And you know why? Because the George Floyd case has been used to play the race card. I want to be very clear because of these facts are very important. In the murder case, it was a murder case involving the death of George Floyd. Not once was race mentioned in that courtroom. And the officer was found guilty. You can't tell that to the Democrats. They have used the George Floyd case as an example that white officers are out to kill black suspects, as if it's the 1940s and 1950s. That is a lie. The Biden administration has seized upon that, invited the George Floyd family into the White House, but they ignore black on black crime. They ignore David Dorn, a retired police officer who was murdered during the summer riots. They play the race card to give this false image that there is a war on black men by the police department. That is a lie.
It is a lie. And black Democratic civil rights attorney, radio host in California, Leo Terrell, former Democrat, understands it's a lie. He's a proud black man. He said the Democratic Party left him, so he left the Democratic Party. He didn't want to be known by proxy as a far-left progressive Marxist communist. I think he's now a Republican, actually, because the party left him. You know, you stay with a party as long as there is some, back and forth, some agreement, some disagreement. But when the party goes so far as to want to remove freedom and cause, not talk about, but cause racism to be the catalyst, the Democratic Party, as it is, and you're known as a far leftist by proxy. If you're a Democrat, I'm sorry to throw you into the whole bunch of far left Marxists, but if you still have a D next to your name, that's how you're seen. You are seen as, oh, you're one of them. There is no mental delineation there. Democrat, bad. Democrat, anti-freedom. Democrat, anti-constitution. Democrat, racist. Democrat, liars. If you're a Democrat and you're none of those things, get out of the party. I'm telling you right now, you're going to do yourself a favor if you just become independent. And if you're still in the Democratic Party and you don't believe the way the far left does, if you're not in politics, why are you still in the party? If you're in politics, I understand you need the party affiliation. You need it for support. You need it for money. You need it for a whole bunch of things. But if you're not a politician, why are you aligned with them anymore if you don't agree with the far left? Because they are known now as far left. That's what, when you say Democrat, people see Chuck Schumer, AOC. They have literally hijacked the party. Nobody sees Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. They see Nancy Pelosi and Rashida Tlaib and Cori Bush. That's who we see when you say Democrat. Get out of the party. You're going to do yourself you're going to do yourself a big favor. And plus, I'll tell you, when it comes to talking with people or arguing, whatever, debating people online, these things go on all the time. You are literally going to come off a lot more objective and well-respected if you can honestly say, well, look, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican, but I'm not a Democrat. I'm unenrolled. Nothing says you have to align with Democrat or Republican. I am proudly now a declared libertarian. And I'll tell you what, most of what I believe, the people I respect in the Republican Party are right on board with me. Most of what I believe the same thing as the Shelley Rudnickies, the Billy Bob Falkinghams, and others who I respect. And there are some that will not respect me. That's fine. I'm not an R. I'm not a D. I'm happy here. Because I don't, if they say, well, this is the party line. No, sorry. I don't follow party lines. I follow my instincts. I follow right and wrong. Because, trust me, the Republicans do a lot of things that are wrong. Take the failure of the Republicans to stand up with a spine at the State House to censure Charlotte Warren. She should not be the House chair of the law enforcement committee or whatever it is, criminal justice committee. Crystal, independent. Good for you. Good for you. Libertarian is basically an independent, I think. I can be, as a libertarian, I can be whatever I want. Here's what a libertarian believes. This is all you have to be. This is all that defines you as a libertarian. You don't like big government. You are for individual freedom and your right to live life the way you want to without government interference. No, you stay within the law. Don't break any laws. Don't do anything that annihilates somebody else's civil rights or constitutional rights. But you live your life your way. That's all I want. That's all most of us want, you know. I think that's all a lot of people who identify as Democrats want. They don't understand the narrative they are putting forward for their chosen party and their chosen media. They don't understand that narrative flies in the face of having a free, happy, and carefree life. They are destroying it. They're cutting off their nose to spite their face, and they don't even realize it. That's not stupidity, that's ignorance. Well, there may be some stupidity in there, but it's mostly ignorance. Now, this is worth the price of admission right here. Another no good, very bad night on the TV for liberals. Republicans took the Virginia governorship with Glenn Youngkin. I'm going to check out the New Jersey governor's race and see where that is. That was literally tied right to the 10th of a point. How does that even happen? Are people really that divided? I mean, they were right dead even. It was like a dead heat, almost down to the vote. Just defies logic. So anyway, MSNBC was beside itself. DEFCON 1 levels of hysteria, according to Newsbusters, that showed at least for one night the far-left cable journalists and pundits had learned zero. They have learned nothing. MSNBC, again, turned to their good old racist, rage-filled hosts, Rachel Maddow, raging racist Joy Reid, Nicole Wallace, and they were joined in the Rage Fest by Chris Hayes, Claire McCaskill, and others. Let the meltdown begin. Just something for you to listen to here for the next few minutes. This is all MSNBC last night.
I watched Glenn Youngkin's interviews on Fox News, and he did nothing that he did not. I mean, he worshipped at the altar of Donald Trump on Fox News.
Nicole Wallace.
He flew an insurrection flag at his rallies. He simply didn't. He played dumb about a Zoom rally. He did not really put much distance between himself and Donald Trump on the big lie or the deadly insurrection in which police officers were maimed by flagpoles. So I think that the real ominous thing is that critical race theory, which isn't real, turned the suburbs 15 points to the Trump insurrection endorsed Republican.
Critical race theory was a lie. And I think we need to go on the offense a little bit. And Terry McAuliffe tried to do this. Say it's a lie. They know it's a lie. But are you scared for your kids to learn about slavery or lynching or housing discrimination? Are we raising kids to be that weak? Like, I think sometimes we answer with facts and we don't believe people will believe these things.
These people are in an alternate reality.
They're going to lie. They will say anything. If this is a boxing match, they're bringing heavier gloves and knives in their boots.
Trump approved Republican Glenn Youngkin's closing message to Virginia voters has almost singularly focused on weaponizing race, stoking hysteria over the coded boogeyman of critical race theory, which is not currently taught in any Virginia public school. From promoting banning Toni Morrison's Beloved, this epic novel, a Pulitzer Prize-winning seminal work of American fiction that recounts the horrors of slavery, to casting himself as the candidate of so-called parents' rights, vowing to ban critical race theory, which again is not taught if elected. Again, it's not taught in any Virginia public schools.
It is. Critical race theory, Joy, is just the most recent, more eloquent iteration of the Southern strategy, right? Whether it be crosstown busing, whether it be the welfare queen, whether it be defund the police. This original sin of America keeps evolving, and critical race theory is the most latest and most eloquent, quite frankly, iteration of the Southern strategy, in a way, quite frankly, to tribalize an election, to tribalize an electorate in a way to drive up the white vote.
You may have the same view I have of critical race theory, which is it was a phony issue. It certainly is in Virginia, where it isn't taught. But people believe what they want to believe. You know, we're still in the Trump era, right? You don't have to have the facts backing you up. If people want to believe what you say, they will believe it.
That's right.
Critical race theory isn't taught. It means something different to voters. They think it is. So Republicans are fixing it. Youngkin's going to ban it. And some of it is just a question for Democrats now. Do you adjust to a terrain that is not fair, that is not just, that is all fact-based, but that at this tonight looks like it advantages Republicans?
Well, the problem that part of the Obama coalition, unfortunately, there are a lot of Americans who don't want to deal with the history. They don't want to deal with it. And they might have voted for Obama, but they're in that coalition too. But when confronted with the opportunity to say, who really was Thomas Jefferson? They don't want to. And the exit polls showed that, which was interesting, that the coronavirus, or that the virus, was a very
low
was not
salience.
importance to many of the voters
which
there.
was fascinating.
It was education,
Right.
which is code for white parents don't like the idea of teaching about race. And I mean, unfortunately, race is just the most palpable tool in the toolkit. It used to be of the Democratic Party back in the day when they were Dixiecrats, and now of the Republican Party. It just is powerful.
Wow. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Are they that dumb? Are they that asleep? So there are the whiners, the bedwetters, the pantloads on MSNBC, triggered by Glenn Youngkin and what they call non-existent critical race theory. Well, hundreds of parents who stood up and know the school curriculum and spoke out say there is critical race theory being taught. They're the parents of the kids who are learning it. What the hell do you know, Joy Reid, Nicole Wallace, Rachel Maddow? Nothing. Zip. You've got a narrative, though. Congratulations. You will lie to stay on the narrative. You're about as objective as nothing. If it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it must be a goose, right? We'll be right back. I'm John James, and this is Freedom's Pep Rally.
Legacy 1160 WSKW.
If you love to shop, whether it's for yourself or for others, you've got to visit Townline Antiques. Because with new items arriving nearly every day, you never know what treasure you may stumble upon. Whether it's vintage signs, sports memorabilia, jewelry, coins, books, comics, artwork, or classic electronics, you're always sure to find something that tickles your fancy. Plus, there's lots of great furniture, glassware, and household goods. And their vintage Christmas booth is now fully stocked with so many wonderful items. If you're looking for ornaments, lights, stockings, figurines, or any other holiday decor, you've got to stop by to shop this dazzling selection. You'll also find Santas galore with dolls, pictures, ceramics, and more. Or how about a classic Christmas toy like a teddy bear or a truck? Townline Antiques is a great place to find that truly one-of-a-kind gift. Or treat yourself to a trip through some wonderful memories with a present for yourself. Townline Antiques, open Tuesday through Sunday from 10 to 5. Route 201, right on the Winslow-Vassalboro Town Line.
There are two types of people in the winter, those that put off their heavy work until the spring, and those who visited Whittemore & Sons for a Coyote tractor, so they can get nearly any job done no matter the weather. Coyote tractors are some of the toughest, most powerful, fuel-efficient, technologically advanced tractors ever built. Move that big pile of snow, transport that wood, and take care of all of your other heavy-duty winter jobs in no time with a Coyote tractor. Check out our full line of tough and versatile Coyote compact tractors, attachments, implements, and accessories at Whittemore & Sons, with dependable sales and service for over 50 years. Speaking of service, don't forget our service department is always ready to get you back in business. You never know when something may go wrong, but no matter when it does, Whittemore & Sons is ready to help. If you have questions or want to schedule a pickup, just call 474-2591. Run ahead of the pack with a Coyote tractor from Whittemore & Sons on the Waterville Road in Skowhegan. Sales and service by a family who cares.
Hi, this is Teresa Smith, Assistant Dean of Enrollment at Kennebec Valley Community College. After nearly 30 years at the college, rarely a day goes by that I don't run into someone who tells me they graduated from KVCC or that their son, daughter, wife, or cousin went to KVCC. What a privilege it is for me to work somewhere that has such a positive impact. KVCC offers the training people need to enter high-demand, high-paying jobs while keeping the cost of education low. Whether you want to earn a degree or just need short-term training to learn a new skill, KVCC's got you covered. Our spring semester starts on January 10th, and I would really love it if you were the next person to say to me, "Hey, don't you work at KVCC?" Please check us out online at kvcc.me.edu or call 453-5822. That's 453-KVCC.
Hey, how are ya? Johnny James at your service right here on Legacy 1160 WSKW. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm going to share my Rumble video on Facebook. So if you want to be able to go right to our Rumble channel, you can. I'm going to do this. There are a whole bunch of different links to use. They give you a choice of links. I'm just learning this, by the way. So I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing sharing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's just a matter of putting the link on my page. And I don't know if it's going to show any. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, it shows the Legacy logo, which is what I expected. So, yeah, if you go to my Facebook page and you click on the Legacy logo, it'll take you to our bright, shiny new page, and you click on it to start, and it'll come right to the show that is currently going on. That's rumble.com. And I'm not sure how to search it on Rumble just yet, but I love the nice, clean look of the Rumble interface, and they don't block us like you. Oh, YouTube, did I tell you this? Yesterday, for like the sixth time, YouTube took down our video, and they punished us. They punished us, and they said, one more strike on this channel, and you are going to be banned. Your videos will all be removed. That's a third channel. We've been on my channel. We've been on American Women Who Bear Arms. We've been on Freedom's Pep Rally. Now we are on the Legacy 1160 WSKW YouTube channel. And so that's the fourth channel we've been on. You know, running, it's like whack-a-mole. Every time they hit us, we go to a different channel, and they'll hit us twice, and then we'll have to create a new channel, because after two strikes, you get one more chance before you're banned. It's ridiculous. And I emailed him yesterday, and I said, you're very un-American. I said, you're very un-American. And the reason for this one was I dared to question the election results. Okay, who cares? First of all, who cares if you question the election results? Does YouTube really care if you question the election results? The election's over. It's done. So questioning it is now wrong. That is now a violation of your terms of service to say, I don't agree with the election. Boom. I'm sorry. We're going to take you off the platform. So screw you, YouTube. Go ahead. Delete me. De-freaking-lete me. Are you reading this? Is your algorithm showing what I'm saying right now? YouTube, read my lips. Delete me, you communist idiot platform, you. Peace out. Loved you. Great being with you. Not really. Take care. Have a great time once the SHTF. Okay? Bye now. Watch this. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say the election was stolen. It was. I fully believe it with all my heart. The election was stolen from Biden. It was not baseless claims. It is the truth that never saw the light of day because there was corruption by the Democrats. And during COVID, it was used as a tool to sway the votes to win for the Democrats. Biden is a false president. He is an illegitimate president. The election was stolen. Do you hear that, YouTube? The election was stolen. Go ahead, your move. You watch, I guarantee it. They're going to take the video down. I don't care. 10:55. Coming up, we had a guest scheduled, but the guest wasn't able to come in with us, so that's good. So we've got a whole hour We're going to get into, first of all, you're going to love this. Not a big Madonna fan. I've been to a Madonna concert. I don't like her politics. I don't like her potty mouth. And the concert I went to, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2015 or 14, or it was in Boston. My former co-host went with me, and we went down. I wanted to scalp the tickets. We were going to scalp the tickets. We had scalpers, offering to buy the tickets from us. We were going to sell because they were free. I mean, they were free tickets. We escorted a bus of listeners down to the Fleet Center, down to the Garden, whatever I have no idea. They've changed the name about 60 times. But so we get down there, and I didn't care about Madonna then. I don't care about Madonna now. Had I known she wasn't going to sing any of her hits except one, I would have definitely scalped the tickets. We called the boss and told him we might sell the tickets. And he was kind of like, well, you can. It's up to you. But we'd like you to be talking about the concert when you come back. So how can you talk about a concert you didn't go to? So I, being the nice guy and the honest guy I am, I said, oh, okay. And we went to the concert, and it sucked. But I've got to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind, given what I just said. Props to Madonna. Yeah, Madonna. Go Madonna. What on earth did she do? What could she possibly have said? Stick around and you'll find out. I'm John James. This is Freedom's Pep Rally.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
Hi, I'm Kyle from Gregory's Disposal. My dad finally let me do my own commercial, so get ready for a whole new sound. Looking for a huge dumpster to tackle that project? At Gregory's, we've got them all. Just give us a call, 465-4500. How about a small dumpster? Yep, we've got those too. They're only a phone call away, 465-4500. We offer any size dumpster from 2 to 50 yards with pickup when you need it. But if you want to pay more than you should, you'll have to get your dumpsters elsewhere, because at Gregory's, we like smiles, not frowns. That's why we keep our prices way down. Whether it's for a day or a month, we'll be happy to drop off a dumpster and pick it up when you're finished. Or if you need a dumpster all the time, we can do that too. Weekly, monthly, or whatever you need. What project do you have going on? Whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or a professional contractor, give Gregory's a call, 465-4500.
Many things change over time, but since 1972, one thing hasn't changed at all. That Delta Ambulance will always be there when you need them most. Delta Ambulance prides themselves on having a team that utilizes superior training, years of experience, and state-of-the-art medical technologies. So if you need safe transportation for routine or critical care transfers, Delta Ambulance is standing by. Learn more about the difference Delta makes at deltaambulance.org. Compassion, leadership, excellence. That's Delta Ambulance.
From the Home Auto Group Studios, Farmington Ford and Franklin Chrysler in Farmington. This is WSKW, Skowhegan, Augusta, Waterville, Legacy 1160.
ABC News, I'm Jim Ryan. 2 governor seats were up for election. One race a big win for Republicans. The other is still up in the air. Republican Glenn Youngkin defeated Democrat Terry McAuliffe in Virginia. While in New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli and incumbent Democrat Phil Murphy are separated by a razor-thin margin. More from ABC's Jonathan Karl.
In Virginia, Glenn Youngkin had Trump's endorsement, but he didn't campaign with him. He barely mentioned Donald Trump, except when he was ridiculing Terry McAuliffe for trying so relentlessly to tie him to Donald Trump. In New Jersey, Jack Ciattarelli didn't even vote for Donald Trump in 2016, and he won the Republican primary by defeating pro-Trump candidates.
After the police-involved killing of George Floyd over Memorial Day 2020, the call went out to change policing in the city. Last night, voters in Minneapolis soundly defeated a proposal to replace the Minneapolis Police Department. About 56% of those who turned out were opposed to the idea. This is ABC News. No more automatic tagging of people in pictures on Facebook. Amid criticism about privacy, the social network is shutting down its facial recognition system and says it plans to delete the face prints of about 1 billion people. Palestinian families are facing eviction from their homes in Jerusalem. They now have rejected a compromise from the country's highest court.
It's a controversial case in East Jerusalem that garnered international headlines and even helped fuel last May's deadly fighting between Hamas and Israel. And it's a case that is not going away. That after Palestinian families formally rejected a compromise by Israel's Supreme Court that would have delayed their looming eviction by an Israeli organization that won a property dispute in the lower courts. The Palestinian families objecting to paying a nominal rent to the Israelis, calling the deal, quote, ethnic cleansing. Now the justices must decide if they will make an exception and hear a second appeal.
That's ABC's Jordana Miller in Jerusalem. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Gentlemen, now you can find the best brands and fits for you without even trying. Just follow these easy instructions. Step 1, shop a personalized store that does all the work for you by customizing a selection for your taste and body. Step 2, level up your closet with the best brands and fits with little to no effort. Not trying has never looked so good. Introducing Stitch Fix Freestyle, your personalized store. We're so you.
You know how when you order a new video game or a golf club or a blender, and then it arrives at your door and you get that little thrill? Imagine how much more thrilling it is when you order a new car. With Nissan at home, you can shop for the perfect ride and order it without ever going anywhere. Sure beats a golf club or a blender. Buy a new car entirely online with Nissan at home delivered direct from dealer to driveway. Thrill starts here. Services may vary at participating dealers, subject to applicable law. See dealer for details.
He came here because he has a lot to say, and all those other stations kept interrupting him with, of all things, songs. He can't sing well, but he can make a good case for freedom.
We're going to win. I think we're going to win in Virginia.
Because you see, what happens in Virginia will in large part determine what happens in 2022, 2024, and on.
It's John James on Legacy 1160, WSKW.
11:03. Good morning. Welcome back. Yeah, that was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, all right, talking about the big win in Virginia. Poor thing. Oh, that's the way it goes. They had all the heavyweights come out, too. They had Kamala, they had Joe Biden, they had Barack Obama. I guess people are over it. Barack Obama, he helped nobody. He helped nobody. He hurt Terry McAuliffe. If anything, Joe Biden, I don't think Joe Biden could help anybody. And Kamala Harris, well, she's Kamala Harris. Meh. That's what everybody thinks of Kamala. That's what they thought about her during the primaries back when she was running for president. Remember that? She ran for president way back in late 2019, early 2020, pre-pandemic. 11:04 right now on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Well, Madonna is not one of my favorite people. Yeah, I like some of her music. I'm not going to lie to you. I do like some of her music. Some other of her music I completely dislike, not because it's necessarily bad music, but, like a Virgin. Not Like a Virgin. Was that the one? What was the one where she, there were religious overtones? I didn't like that one at all, just because it was very sacrilegious. It wasn't Like a Virgin. Anyway, I don't remember. I like some of her music, but I don't care for her that much. However, I do have to give her props. It seems like she's not only a potty-mouthed liberal, but she's also fair, rational, and objective. Wait, what? What'd you say? From an article at WND.com. Pop star Madonna has unleashed the cancel culture so prevalent in America these days. She said there's no debate, there's no discussion. She said that in V Magazine. The censoring that's going on in the world right now, that's pretty frightening, she says. The cancel culture, of course, is the social media big tech agenda that literally shuts down anyone who disagrees with the accepted and politically correct agenda. It gets even more interesting here. I was happy to see this, I'll be honest with you. She says, speak of the green agenda without trouble, but find yourself deplatformed and worse if you suggest that going off fossil fuels isn't really realistic. She's right. Why am I so surprised when people speak the truth? Well, because it's not socially acceptable among the left to speak the truth. So this is rather surprising to me. Promote transgenderism all you want, and you will find fans. But point out that male or female is embedded in the human body down to the DNA level, and your comments go nowhere. Madonna. This is Madonna saying this. In the interview, she explained it's come up in the COVID-19 pandemic. The way people think about the pandemic, for instance, that the vaccination is the only answer, or the polarization of thinking you're either on this side or the other. There's no debate. There's no discussion, she said. And she's right. That's something I want to disturb, Madonna said. I want to disturb the fact that we're not encouraged to discuss it. I believe that our job is to disturb the status quo. The censoring that's going on in the world right now, that's pretty frightening. No one's allowed to speak their mind right now. No one's allowed to say what they really think about things for fear of being canceled. What Madonna just did there is the difference between a liberal and a progressive. A liberal will commend her for saying what she did. A progressive will want her canceled. Am I not right? It is. It's very shocking. It is very shocking indeed. The View. Again, race as usual. Race as you. Yeah, we're going to get to COVID-19 here in a minute. I've got some interesting stuff on COVID-19. One of the new comments is from Ben Carson. Dr. Ben Carson, the pediatric brain surgeon. Pretty smart guy. Well, it's not brain surgery. Oh, well, yeah, actually it is. It sure is. But let's start out with this little story. It's always about race on The View. We don't? Okay. We do have it. Okay, good. Sorry, I just communicating with somebody else here. One of the mainstream television shows that misrepresents race and has a following of eager Kool-Aid drinking sheep is The View. So yesterday you heard Condoleezza Rice. Condoleezza Rice was shut down by Joy Behar and Sonny Hostin, who don't have 3 brain cells between them. Or they tried to shut her down. Actually, let me say that. They couldn't shut down Condoleezza Rice because she's got something they don't. She's intelligent. Now, this story from The Blaze. Whoopi Goldberg told a guest co-host on yesterday's edition of The View that it's the responsibility of white people to stand up and make skin color a non-issue in America. I'm going to let that sink in. Let me repeat that. Yeah, I'll take your. I left Casey's comment up there for a while. I like that. That was very funny. Let me say, here it is. It's the responsibility of white people to step up and make skin color a non-issue in America. Okay, have we not tried? Have we not tried? Well, the leftists haven't. Joe Biden's a racist. Talk to your own party, Whoopi. Whoopi Goldberg, you're a Democrat. Talk to your own freaking party. Don't paint with a broad brush. White people, step up. No, say white Democrats, step up. Step up and stop being racist. Joe Biden, you hear me, Joe? You hear me, Joe? Step up. Stop being so racist. Stop being so racist. Guest co-host Michelle LaFoya, she's an NBC reporter who made the mistake of wondering out loud. She got canceled. Michelle LaFoya wondered out loud in front of the show's left-wing co-hosts why young children are being taught in the classroom that skin color matters so much all of a sudden. That, by the way, is critical race theory. If you want people to stop talking about race, if you want race to be a non-issue, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Critical race theory, schools making white people feel like oppressors, making black people feel like white people are oppressing them. That is the very definition of racism. That is what the left is pushing. Who are you talking to, Whoopi Goldberg? So Michelle LaFoya said, why are schools teaching this crap? Basically, she didn't say it that way. Here's the exchange between Michelle LaFoya and Whoopi Goldberg.
My kids in school, there is a big focus on the color of your skin.
How old are your children?
My children are now 16 and 13.
Okay, in what way?
It's been going on since they were in lower school, all right? And it is that there are affinity groups on campus for... My son's first best friend was a little African-American boy. They were inseparable. Get to a certain age, they start having what's called an affinity group, which means you go for lunch and pizza with people who look like you. Suddenly, my son wasn't hanging out with him anymore. His next best friend was a little Korean boy. Years, inseparable. He started going to his affinity groups. Why are we even teaching that the color of the skin matters? Because to me, what matters is your character and your values.
Yes, but you know, you live in the United States. You know that color of skin has been mattering to people.
Can't we change it that it doesn't?
We need white people to step up and do that.
No, we need white people to step up and do that. There you go, Whoopi. Racist. You're racist, Whoopi. You're racist. You're just racist the other way. White people have been stepping up. White leftists have been pushing you down. White leftists have kept racism going. Again, brain cells, hello. Brain cells, are you there? Whoopi's head. Brain cells, Bueller, hello. Brain cells. White people have to step up and do that, Whoopi Goldberg says. White and black people have literally been trying to do that at school board meetings, at county commissioners' meetings, on media. They have tried to do that, but people like you and Anna Navarro and Joy Behar and Joy Reid have been pushing back to keep the flames of racism burning, and you either do realize what you're doing, and I can't imagine why you'd be doing it, or you're just ignorant and too dumb to figure out, hey, wait a minute, we're the ones doing it. Well, maybe if we just stop. Okay, so who's separating the kids by race? Were the loudmouth know-it-alls on the show listening when Tafoya said that her kids or her kids' friends went to affinity groups in government schools where they are segregated into groups of people who look like them? Government school, affinity groups, segregation, separation. White people's got to step up. No, how about white and other leftists got to step up? Why not you got to step up, Whoopi, or just shut your mouth, because every time you open it, you sound stupid. Sorry, I hate to be that blunt, but you do. You sound beyond ignorant. It's beyond ignorant. It is stupid how you can sit there day after day after day, preach, and not realize that what you're preaching is just clearly transparent garbage. You, Joy Behar, you are so indoctrinated into believing that white culture is the problem in America that you're willing to put your very reputation on the line to push racism. That doesn't exist, at least not to the extent you make it seem. Just shut up. 11:17. Legacy 1160 WSKW. Well, let's talk a little bit about COVID, shall we? There's a new warning out from, I don't know who this woman is. You remember Naomi Wolf, who was at the state capitol in Augusta with Shelley Rudnicki some time ago? And she was actually touring at the time, talking about the dangers of vaccine passports and how they will cause us to necessarily lose our freedoms. And you know, we see that starting to happen now. It clearly she was a prophet of sorts. Not that it was really that difficult to see. Well, there's another warning coming from down under. Now, I'm not sure who this woman is, as she says, greetings from Prison Island. Now, I assume by the accent, it's got to be either Australia or New Zealand. But listen to her. Listen to this. This is truth. Listen to her talking in this TikTok piece that I found yesterday.
Greetings from Prison Ireland. So the government has decided to declare war on the unvaccinated, that troublesome group of people who still believe that they have the right to decide what pharmaceutical injections they should take. But let's talk about vaccine passports for a second. By consenting to these, we are in effect giving the government access to our bodies indefinitely, which means that they can require us to take any number of pharmaceutical injections or other medical interventions at any point in time, simply to guarantee our so-called freedoms. Furthermore, these vaccine passports will very likely be linked in future to a social credit system, which will very likely be linked to our individual carbon footprint, which will very likely be linked to our digital currency allowance, which will very likely be accessed by a unique global digital ID, whereby failure on our part to comply with all the requirements across our medical, social, carbon, and other metrics that we are required to conform to may result in us getting disabled. In other words, we don't have access to our funds. In other words, we won't be able to buy or sell. So, by consenting to vaccine passports, we are in effect opening the door for the government to dictate and have access and control over absolutely every aspect of our lives from here on in. So I ask you, is that really what you want to happen?
Wow, that's kind of sobering, isn't it, huh? The left, of course, will call it conspiracy theory. But I believe there is a huge conspiracy going on here, and it involves cooperation by many governments around the globe, and it's all part of the Great Reset. This was the pandemic, everything, all part of the Great Reset. They were greasing the skids while Trump was in office, and probably because Trump was in office, knowing that if they had a president in office who all of a sudden turned on government and turned on government power and wanted individualism and individual freedoms to be a thing again, Their time was running out. So they greased the skids by trying to impeach him, not once, but twice. They tried to ruin him with the race riots that were the real insurrection of 2020. COVID-19, which was the real freedom killer, 2020. They tried to pin it on Donald Trump by saying everything from he's xenophobe to he's telling you to inject bleach into your system. And then Dr. Fauci had already had a plan with the Chinese. He was funding the Wuhan lab, remember, of course, and he was one of the people who knew that COVID-19 was dangerous, could kill people, and he didn't tell anybody about it. He let it come to the United States when I believe he knew about it much earlier in 2019, perhaps even as far back as 2017. Well, there's a lot of information for you to take in. Conspiracy? Well, the deeper we get into this, the more my conspiracy theory is gaining traction. I amaze myself sometimes. So don't count what this woman set out. She is living in one of the most locked down areas of the world, down in Australia, New Zealand. They are being brutal. And guess what? Guess what the difference between New Zealand, Australia, and America is? Guns is the only difference. Now, I'm not saying that to sound like I'm being some kind of an irrational, militant militia guy. I may belong to a militia, I may not. I'm not going to tell anybody. But I'll tell you what, that is the difference between a free society and a society that is more susceptible to tyranny. We don't have to use guns. I'm not saying we have to use guns. What I'm saying, though, is those who would push socialism, Marxism, communism on us know we've got them, which may be enough. I hope it is. I hope it is enough. Being necessary to a free society, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Necessary to a free society. What's happening down under? Not good, is it? Keep that in mind next time they try to take your guns. And they will. They will. Well, they did. You keep saying they're going to take your gun. Well, they haven't taken our guns, have they? Because there's a lot of pushback. The NRA has been our friend. Gun Owners of America have been our friend. In Maine, Gun Owners of Maine, Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine have been our friend. They've rallied. They've campaigned. They've spent money against the evil forces that would try to take away our guns. Not all at once, perhaps, but starting with the ones that are evil. Then once the evil guns are gone, the assault weapons, then any guns that are left, there's got to be evil in there. We've got to pick out the evil ones. Their guns are always evil. They pick out what they consider the most evil ones first. They remove them. And then they've got to find a new target. They've got to find a new evil gun. Well, now it's all semi-automatic pistols. They're evil. We get them up. That's a good example of what a slippery slope looks like. But because we are crusaders, they haven't been able to do anything yet, nor will they. I am quite sure, not here in Maine anyway, in different states they have. I mean, good luck trying to carry a gun in Washington, D.C. You can't. Or if you can, it requires that you prove your life is in imminent danger and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's not a right. It's an honor that you have to pay for. It's not America. That's not the Constitution. 1125 on Legacy 1160 WSKW. Well, here's something that surprised me. A military doctor who's actually a surgeon. Lieutenant Colonel Teresa Long is a brigade surgeon for the 1st Aviation Brigade at Fort Rucker in Alabama, an Army base. And she was recently taken off her job. Well, Why? What'd she do? Did she amputate the wrong limb? Did she give somebody an overdose of narcotics? No, it was something much, much worse than that. She dared to report vaccine injuries. So do you understand why I don't trust the government? And I know most people listening don't either. But there are people out there who just get the vaccine, just get the vaccine, just get the vaccine. If everybody was being honest with us, telling us what was happening, giving us the pros and cons, the good, the bad, being fair, objective with us, it would be a lot easier to make a decision trusting the government. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Long's testimony. Listen very closely to this.
With respect to aviation safety, risk communication is critical. I saw 5 patients in clinic, 2 of which presented with chest pain days to weeks after vaccination and were subsequently diagnosed with pericarditis and worked up to rule out myocarditis. The 3rd pilot had been vaccinated and felt like he was drunk, chronically fatigued within 24 hours after vaccination. The pilot told me he didn't know what to do, so he drank a lot of coffee to try and, quote, wake himself up and continued to fly until he realized it wasn't going away. After I reported to my command my concerns that in one morning I had to ground 3 out of 3 pilots due to vaccine injuries, the next day my patients were canceled, my charts were pulled for review, and I was told that I would not be seeing acute patients anymore, just healthy pilots there for their flight physical.
No more acute patients, only healthy pilots from now on. News of injuries must not be divulged. You must comply with government rules. Wow. Just wow. Is it any wonder nobody trusts the government the way they're pushing so hard to get everybody, including children, vaccinated? And by the way, they try clearly to cover up injuries from the vaccine. There are thousands, many thousands of injuries being reported. How many more are never reported, are swept under the rug? Wow. That's kind of frightening, isn't it? Doesn't it make you question government authority even a little bit? I'm sure it probably does most people. Those on the left, just get the vaccine, protect the greater good. Okay, all right. I did get the vaccine. I actually didn't have any side effects from it. I have comorbidities, I do. And I have a grandson who may now have COVID, actually, who got the vaccine, who has autoimmune problems. This whole thing is it ever going to end? I question whether or not they want it to end. They go, if everybody's vaccinated, it'll go away. You know what? I think this is probably here to stay in some form or another. The longer it stays, the more they can keep their thumbs on us. They'll hold us down. The longer this stays, do you see this going away anytime soon? I don't. I just don't. I think they want to keep it going. And they can keep it going as long as they want to for many people. Because there are many people out there who are afraid of their own shadow. The government says jump, they say how high? You want me to wear a mask when I walk in the woods? Okay, I'll do it. When I walk my dog, sure, I'll do it. When I'm in an airplane by myself, flying my airplane across the state of Maine, yeah, wear a mask. Okay. When you're walking down the road with your dog wearing a mask, who are you protecting yourself from? And who exactly are you protecting? Those type of people scare me. That's ignorance in motion. That is upright ignorance, I call it. It's 11:30 right now. We'll be right back. I'm John James. This is Freedom's Pep Rally.
Legacy 1160 WSKW.
Do you have itchy, irritated, or burning eyes? Then you're just like 16 million other Americans who suffer from dry eye syndrome. But there is a way to find a solution to the issue. Contact Kennebec Eye Care and schedule an exam. There are many reasons people experience dry eye: medications, systemic diseases, birth control, CPAP machines, and more. And an exam with Kennebec Eye Care will identify what's causing it and how to best treat it. Schedule an appointment today by calling 872-2797. Kennebec Eye Care, your site specialist, 216 Main Street in Waterville, and online at KennebecEyeCare.com.
Get your running shoes ready for a great cause. Coming up on Saturday, November 6th, starting at 8 a.m., you're invited to participate in this year's race along the scenic Kennebec Rail Trail. Whether you're a walker or a runner, you can help make a difference, get some fresh air, and have fun at the same time. Following the event, there will be an award ceremony at Bateau Brewing in Gardner with great prizes like $100 for the top male and female and other prizes awarded for various classes. There will also be a virtual 5K and walk for those who choose not to attend the event live on Saturday, November 6th. Either way, you can help, and all proceeds remain here in Maine, helping high-risk patients get access to early lung cancer screening, and will help low-income homeowners get access to radon air abatement systems. For more information, contact Deb Violette at 207-215-9035 or sign up and register today at freemefromlungcancer.org.
If quality and reliability for all of your home heating and cooling needs is important to you, then choose Bob's Cash Fuel in Madison. Starting out with just one truck for deliveries in 1981, they've continued to grow to a locally owned and operated full-service company offering experience and a staff of trusted and loyal professionals. Bob's Cash Fuel offers heating oil, kerosene, diesel, gasoline, propane, and 24-hour emergency service for heating and cooling. And now with their new app, you can order fuel right from your phone, check account information and delivery status, make a payment, and more. Download the app at the App Store today. Bob's Cash Fuel also offers emergency oil and propane delivery to all of their customers. And if you're looking for a new boiler that can give you all of the hot water that you need and reduce your heating fuel costs by up to 40%, then check out the System 2000 from Bob's Cash Fuel in Madison. To heat or cool, and propane too, call Bob's Cash Fuel. Bob's Cash Fuel, Route 148 in Madison, your System 2000 premier dealer.
Welcome back. Freedom's Pep Rally. Here in your face on the radio. We are at legacy1160.com. If you want to listen live there, you certainly can. Click on Listen Live, brought to you by the Harry J. Smith Company on Sanger Avenue in Waterville. The free downloadable app for Android is at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store for your iPhone and devices. And, of course, videos all over the place. It's brought to you by Moody's Collision Center. The app, by the way, is brought to you by Hardy Wolf and Downing Maine's Injury Lawyers. Get yours today. And the show is brought to you by, they're open today, the Gun Shop on Coney Circle in Augusta. The time right now is 11:35. I'm John James, your friendly host. And I went to DMV in Augusta on Monday. Myself and one more guy were the only ones not wearing masks. Did I feel awkward? Nope. You know, it is amazing. And they're vaccinated. The ones I go to Hannaford, and at least half, if not more, are wearing masks. The employees have to wear masks. That's not their choice. But it's amazing to me the number of people, young and old, who, and I don't make fun of them if they want to, if it makes them feel better. Do I think they're, to an extent, I don't know if they have comorbidities. There may be a reason they feel safer. Who am I to judge, is what I'm saying. I will not judge anybody with or without a mask. Many of them, I think, are sheep because they can't all have comorbidities. There are some young, healthy-looking people going around wearing masks. There are parents that come in with their kids wearing masks. Okay, that's fine. Whatever makes you feel better, I have no problem with that. But it is just kind of scary to see the people that are so afraid of everything that they will fall for anything and they will believe anything that they are told by the government. And when people start relying on the government for direction on how to live their lives and for money so they can live their lives, we are headed into, I think, a dark place of no return. And that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what the Biden administration is doing. That's exactly what the Biden administration wants. And to an extent, they're getting it. And that should scare everybody. It is 11:37 now on Legacy 1160 WSKW. And some more COVID stuff here. Washington State now. This is something that I can see happening in Maine because we've got a tyrant for governor. Now, Jay Inslee is the government in Washington State. The Washington Labor Department, according to Post Millennial, and Labor and Industries, L&I, filed an emergency rulemaking package last week. What this does is extends emergency powers to Jay Inslee, the Democrat governor. The package is an extension of current mandates, and here's what it does. It grants Jay Inslee the ability to enforce COVID vaccine mandates on all private businesses in Washington. Every single private business in Washington State can be mandated to require vaccines of its employees. Every business. I would like to ask liberals, how far is too far? Is there a limit to what the government can do? Well, not in an emergency. Okay, so how long can an emergency go on? This is going on 2 years now. This emergency has been going on 2 years. Well, as long as it takes. Okay, then our rights are gone. Our rights to live free are gone. If it's that easy, all they've got to do is keep funding the Wuhan lab, keep coming up with more viruses, boom, they've got it made. They have now got Marxism. It's just a matter of time before we're under complete control. Right? So how far is too far? For the left, how far is too far? For me, too far was after the first 2 weeks to flatten the curve. There you go. So we're a long ways from that now, aren't we? So they've been too far for a long time. But for some, it's still, well, it's not far enough. Keep it going. Keep us masked. Keep the vaccine mandates. Mandate more and more and more. Mandate the children. And now the CDC does recommend, this is the CDC, another Biden government agency. The CDC is now recommending that kids age 5 to 11, they are recommending that all kids 5 to 11 get vaccinated with a pediatric Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. Rochelle Walensky endorsed the CDC Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP recommendations that children 5 to 11 years old be vaccinated against COVID-19. Recommendation. So the CDC now expands vaccine recommendations to about 28 million children in the United States. As soon as possible. But what about studies? What about, no, you'll be the guinea pigs. So you're going to get your kid you got a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid. Are you going to get them vaccinated? CDC says you ought to. CDC, the great agency, the Centers for Disease Control, says you should, no question, you should get your kids vaccinated. But wait a minute here. There's another side to this. There are other very smart people, smarter than maybe Rochelle Walensky, maybe smarter than even King Fauci. Dr. Ben Carson is a director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins Center, Children's Center. He was on with Maria Bartiromo this past weekend, and Maria Bartiromo asked Dr. Carson if he is in favor of giving the vaccine to 5 to 11-year-olds. And this is what he had to say.
Absolutely not. The fact of the matter is the mortality rate for children from COVID-19 is 0.025, which is very similar to the rate for seasonal flu. And we haven't been for years and years going through all these things for seasonal flu. Plus, we don't know what the long-term impact of these vaccines is. So this is really sort of a giant experiment. Do we want to put our children at risk when we know that the risk of the disease to them is relatively small, but we don't know what the future risks are? Why would we do a thing like that? It makes no sense whatsoever. And also, you know, getting to this whole ideal of natural immunity. There have been a number of studies that have shown that it is very, very effective. You look at the Cleveland Clinic study, 1,300 of their healthcare workers who had been previously infected, none of them got reinfected. So I know the CDC is coming out with their recommendations and trying to spin things their way.
Now, trying to spin things their way. Did you hear that? Coming out with their recommendation and trying to spin things their way. And you just heard they are recommending all 28 million children 5 to 11 get the vaccine. That's the CDC. Boy, they're being careful, huh? Everybody, just go get it. But what about, there's no study, just get it, just get it. You just get it. Okay, you hear me? I'm Dr. Fauci. I'm the voice of this thing. You just get the vaccine and shut up. Or you don't care about your grandmother. That's the thing. They spin things. And unless you do your own research and get into the weeds and you look at the data, who's got time to do that? You believe what they say and what the mockingbird media tells you. Get the vaccine for the kids. They'll love it, I tell you. They'll love it. They'll love the myocarditis and the pericarditis if they get it. The media doesn't do any research. The media listens to Fauci and Walensky and the CDC. They don't listen to the other doctors who say anything different, who stray from the narrative. No, those voices are not allowed. They aren't allowed on the media. They aren't allowed in the administration. They are not allowed on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. They aren't allowed. Alternatives not accepted. Did I mention we're on Rumble, by the way? Did I mention we get canceled again by YouTube yesterday? I think I did, didn't I? We're on our 4th channel now there, by the way. I don't care. I'll keep creating channels until we have 100 channels. I don't care. I'll just keep creating email addresses and making new channels. So Ben Carson is not the only one that is saying that it wouldn't be smart to give a healthy young person an experimental vaccine. Dr. Martin Kulldorff, a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School and a biostatistician at the Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, said in an interview with Epic TV that the risks outweigh any benefit. Dr. Robert Malone, the inventor of the messenger RNA technology in the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, he says there is absolutely no scientific or medical justification for vaccinating children, in my opinion. Dr. Harvey Risch, a professor of epidemiology at the Yale School of Medicine, is advising parents to remove their children from any public school that forces students to get shots. There are 4 very well qualified doctors who are speaking out in a way that is totally opposite of what the CDC is saying about vaccinating young children, the exception being kids with comorbidities. How many of those doctors do you think you're going to hear about on MSNBC or CNN? Now, if any of these leftists go ahead and only listen without doing research to these media outlets that echo the CDC narrative, and they go out and get their 6-year-old vaccinated, and their 6-year-old gets very, very sick, gets myocarditis, pericarditis, or God forbid, pass away. And then they find out that the information was there all along. What do you think their reaction would be? Well, I can only imagine. I can imagine they would be horrified. But that is not trying to discourage you from getting the vaccine for your kid if you want to. But that is to give you both sides of the story. So you have the CDC side and you have the other side, both arguably professionals sides, and you can make your own decision based on knowledge, because unlike many on the progressive left, you are a grown-up and you are capable of making your own decisions without the government's mandate. $11:49 right now. Don't let anyone on the left tell you, or don't try to tell me that this vaccine has not been political from the get-go. Now, I'm speaking out for personal freedom from the perspective of somebody who got the vaccine. I got the vaccine. You can hate me. You can. I think most people aren't judging me for that. I've told you the reason. I'm not going to go over it again. I had reasons for getting it. I got it. And I'm fine. I haven't had COVID either, by the way. I don't know. Maybe the vaccine helped me from getting COVID. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten COVID. I don't know. You don't know, you know? You don't know. Retrospect. Retrospect tells you nothing. Now, had I gotten COVID after the vaccine, or if I get it after the vaccine, then I may go use retrospect to think, well, you know, why'd I get the vaccine, especially if I get very, very sick. But so far, I've been lucky. I feel pretty good. But it's no wonder many Americans have had vaccine hesitancy and fears, because the very people who are pushing 24/7 nonstop for the vaccine mandates and passports less than a year ago said, no way. They're the ones that said, I wouldn't get the vaccine. And now they're saying, you get the vaccine. And they think they're all virtue signalers. They think they're all self-righteous by going on TV. Look, I'm getting the shot on TV. Joe Biden got his shot on TV. Kamala Harris got her shot on TV. They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that on TV. What if there was an effect, an adverse effect? No, you can't prove it to me. Those I maintain those were placebos. There was nothing. There was nothing in those vaccines. That was merely theater. That's all that was. Don't try to tell me otherwise. I can almost guarantee it. Take my word, I'm right more than I'm wrong on this stuff. When it comes to knowing how these warped individuals think, these corrupt individuals, they would no way get a real vaccine live just in case an adverse event took place. So that you can almost rest assured they were given so that it was moot. The only people who believe it are the sheep on the left. Oh my God, Joe Biden got it on TV. Kamala Harris got it on live TV. It must be okay. I'm going to get mine. And I guarantee you there were millions of people out there who did just that, said, well, they wouldn't do it on TV. They didn't do it on TV. It was all a fake. It was a ruse. It was theater. These people who are mandating and forcing and pushing the vaccine. Here's what they were saying during the Trump administration, back when the vaccine was almost ready to go. You had Kamala Harris, you had many others, and you'll hear their voices in here.
I think it's going to be a very skeptical American public about taking the vaccine, and they should be.
We can't trust the president and take his word and take a vaccine that might cause harm to us.
If and when the vaccine comes, it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot?
We will need to have access to the vaccine results so we can make our independent assessment to make sure that Donald Trump's fingerprints are not on it.
You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay. Is the vaccine safe? Frankly, I'm not going to trust the federal government's opinion. And I wouldn't recommend to New Yorkers based on the federal government's opinion. And the question of whether it's real when it's there, that requires enormous transparency.
Would you trust that vaccine?
There's very little that we can trust that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth.
We cannot take for granted this process will be free of political influence.
I don't trust the president, and I don't trust the FDA.
If Donald Trump can't give answers and the administration can't give answers to these three questions, the American people should not have confidence. You're going to say to the American people now, here's a vaccine, it was new, it was done quickly, but trust this federal administration and their health administration that it's safe?
I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
How confident are you in the approval process of the FDA right now?
How confident am I? I'm not that confident.
Yes, I would be hesitant, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
You're going to need someone other than this FDA and this CDC saying it's safe.
All right, so the president, the FDA, the CDC, wouldn't trust any of them. Biden, Kamala Harris, Andrew Cuomo, and others. Ilhan Omar. Kamala, you can't trust anything comes out of this president's mouth. Why? What did Donald Trump ever say that you couldn't trust? Kamala? Be specific. He speaks more truth he spoke more truth in one day than Joe Biden has since he's been in office. And more coherently, too, I might add. Now, less than 1 year later, every one of the voices you just heard saying, trust the government, get vaccinated. They're all saying, trust the government, get vaccinated. A year ago, it was don't ever trust the government. Unbelievable. And one more thing here. A recent PubMed study by Dr. Peter McCullough used data from the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, VAERS, to examine cardiac adverse events like myocarditis, pericarditis, following the injection of the first or second dose of the 3 experimental COVID vaccines. The study revealed it is safe to assume the reporting of heart-related complications, including myocarditis, in VAERS is not rare, but instead just the tip of the iceberg. And this study was co-authored by Dr. Jessica Rose. The peer-reviewed, approved, and published paper titled A Report on Myocarditis Adverse Events in the U.S. It was abruptly removed from publication after being fully accepted, which executed publishing agreements. The report currently displays a temporary removal status, implying the intentional action to halt access to the study's important information is in effect. And you can get all the information at legacy1160.com/FPR. So there is yet another case of adverse effects being silenced and covered up as they push and push and push now for you to vaccinate your 5-year-old. The government is evil. If you don't go into it believing the government is evil, if you go in with any amount of government trust and worship of the government, then I don't know what to tell you. I think you're going to be the cause of the downfall of our great country. And you're going to be the cause of the deaths of a lot of people. Wake up, America. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Mike Violette's going to be off for another week. He should be back next Thursday. So that's good news. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the day.
Legacy 1160, WSKW.
What's important here at Moody's is we have a lot of opportunity for upward mobility.
Moody's definitely helped me through. They sent me to school. I got my degree in business. I had the demeanor and I had the willpower and the want.
Our trade is constantly changing and there's always new challenges that arise.
I definitely feel like an owner. It's very exciting.
When you like what you do, you like your job, you like the people you work with, what else could you ask for?
Bring your skills to Moody's and build a long-term future with us.
If quality and reliability for all of your home heating and cooling needs is important to you, then choose Bob's Cash